Hi, welcome back guys. This is your sensei, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Naruto Fell for Flower Girl. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. I don't want to go there. Naruto sat outside the ninja academy, watching as excited kids entered for their first lessons. They all aspired to become ninjas just like him. However, what they didn't know was that Naruto, usually full of energy, lacked motivation to attend school. He had always struggled in the Hidden Leaf Village, as both adults and children overlooked him for what he was and what he contained. When the bell rang, Naruto sighed. He had to move or risk being late, and he certainly didn't want to be scolded on his first day. Rising from the bench, he slowly made his way toward the school. He noticed children chatting eagerly about what they would learn and how they would become great ninjas. Although some cast him disapproving glances, Naruto chose to ignore them. He had no intention of causing trouble on his first day. As he reached his new classroom, room 3A, he took a deep breath before opening the door, greeted by a sea of curious eyes. "Naruto Uzumaki. There you are. I was just wondering why you were absent," the teacher exclaimed. Naruto shrugged. "I'm sorry. It won't happen again." The teacher nodded. "I hope so. Now, if you'd take a seat next to, Miss Yamanaka over there." Naruto glanced at the girl the teacher indicated and walked toward her. As he made his way to his seat, he was met with hisses and unkind remarks, which he chose to ignore. He sat down, resting his arms on the desk and his chin on them. Just as he was about to lose himself in thought, a voice interrupted him. "Hi, my name is Ino Yamanaka. Nice to meet you." Naruto looked up at her. She was smiling and extended her hand. He was taken aback. He didn't expect anyone to talk to him so willingly or kindly. Still, he felt it was only right to respond. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Nice to meet you too," he said, attempting a smile. Ino beamed back before turning her attention to the teacher. Naruto took a moment to observe her properly. She had beautiful blonde hair, striking turquoise eyes, and a lovely face. He thought the purple she wore suited her perfectly. However, he didn't want to stare, so he turned his focus back to the teacher and tried to concentrate in class. At least, that was his intention. But the teacher was so dull that he decided to do his own research, reading some ninja art scrolls he had retrieved the week before. Those scrolls offered far more useful information than the lessons from this sleepy teacher. Just as he was finishing the first scroll, the bell rang, signaling the end of the first lesson. The teacher bid them farewell and left for the next class. Naruto returned to his scrolls, but once again he was interrupted. "What are you reading there?" Naruto turned to see Ino looking at him curiously. I'm reading a bit about ninja art." Ino grinned, clearly amused. "Interesting. But it's not good to ignore the lessons. That's one of the responsibilities we have as ninja students," she said teasingly. Naruto couldn't help but grin back. "You know, you learn much more by doing your own work than by listening to a teacher who puts you to sleep." Ino giggled, and that surprised him. He had never had a pleasant conversation with anyone in his village, so he wondered how this girl could talk to him so freely, without any signs of hatred or fear. It made him smile. After a long series of lessons, the students were finally excused for lunch. Naruto stood outside the school building, pondering what to do during the break. He considered going to Ichiraku's but knew he would be late if he did. Just then he spotted Ino walking toward him. He recognized her immediately and smiled softly, which made her smile back. "Happy to see me again?" "Well, it's always nice to see a familiar face after all those lessons." "True," Ino chuckled. Naruto felt a sense of relief being able to talk to Ino without fear of judgment. He suspected that Ino was one of the few who hadn't heard the story of the Yondaime Hokage and the nine-tailed fox. But before he could think further, his stomach growled. "Oh man, I need to eat or I'm going to drop." Naruto exclaimed dramatically. Ino laughed. "You're right. I haven't eaten either and I'm starving." Naruto smiled at her and decided to ask, "Hey, how about we grab something to eat together?" As soon as he asked, he regretted it. He knew many kids disliked him for what he was, and he assumed Ino would reject his offer. But to his surprise, Ino smiled. Of course. Let's go. Just as they were about to leave, Naruto noticed a group of girls nearby, eyeing Ino suspiciously. He recognized them as Sakura Haruno, Tenten, and Hinata Hyuga. Ino shrugged at them and took Naruto's wrist, quickening her pace. Come on. We don't have much time. With that, they hurried away, unaware that this day and their conversation marked the beginning of a blossoming friendship, one that would soon grow into something even more beautiful. Are you happy to be back? Naruto jumped slightly and glanced at Jiraiya, who was walking beside him. They were on their way back to Konohamaru, arriving shortly. After the mission to retrieve Sasuke Uchiha had failed, resulting in Naruto's defeat, he had gone with Jiraiya to train and improve. Jiraiya's main goal was to help Naruto control his inner demon, the nine-tailed fox. Over time, Naruto had made significant progress, learning many new jutsus and enhancing his overall combat skills during their missions. And now, after 3 long years, they would be returning to the Hidden Leaf Village. By this time, Naruto had matured significantly. He had grown taller and developed a strong physique. Jiraiya often compared him to the Yondaime Hokage, saying he was on the right path. Yet, despite his training, Naruto felt a wave of anxiety wash over him as they approached home. He was uncertain how his friends would react to his return and whether they would even recognize him. What frightened him the most was the thought of reuniting with his best friend, the one person he had grown close to during his time as a genin. Leaving her behind when he and Jiraiya departed the village had been painful. Now, while he was excited to reconnect, he was also apprehensive. Of course I am, Jiraiya. Those 3 years away really took a toll on me. Definitely. But isn't there more to it? Jiraiya asked, glancing at him with a knowing smile. What do you mean? Naruto replied, raising an eyebrow. Jiraiya chuckled. You know what I mean. Are you sure there's not someone special in the village you're eager to see again? OWWW. Naruto playfully nudged his arm and grinned. Of course, it'll be good to see all my comrades again. Especially after everything that happened with Sasuke. His expression hardened at the mention. Jiraiya looked at him with understanding and nodded, choosing to end the discussion before it escalated. They enjoyed the peaceful silence as they approached the gates of Konohamaru. All right, I'll be heading off. I need to see someone. Make sure you report to Tsunade and let her know we're back. Naruto laughed. Of course, pervy sage. I'll get going. I don't want to keep you from your meeting. With that, Naruto set off. He walked slowly through the village, taking in every building and person he passed, realizing that nearly everything had remained unchanged. A smile spread across his face. He was genuinely happy to be back, even if he hadn't seen any of his friends yet. He couldn't help but grin, excited to see their reactions. As he reached the crossroads leading to the Hokage's office, he spotted the renovated academy. He shrugged. It wouldn't hurt to take a look before reporting to Tsunade. Approaching the large building, memories flooded back of the time he spent there, recalling all the familiar places and experiences. Just as he stood before the gate, he heard a loud scream and noticed 3 small children next to a pink-haired girl. A smile crept onto his face as he recognized one of his Team 7 mates, Sakura Haruno. Naruto walked over, listening to their conversation. But why can't we learn new jutsus, Sakura-chan? We need them to get better and become just like Big Brother. Sakura giggled. Big Brother? You mean Naruto, right, Konohamaru? Konohamaru nodded eagerly. I want to show him how strong I've become. I can be the next Hokage when he retires. One of Konohamaru's friends nudged him. Don't be silly. Naruto won't retire anytime soon. Konohamaru nearly punched him for that comment. I don't care. All I know is that Naruto and I planned this from the beginning. It will happen. Trust me. Then show me what you've got. All 4 of them flinched and turned to the source of the voice, and the 3 kids jumped in excitement. Big Brother. The children ran toward him, attempting to tackle him, but Naruto easily held them off. As Sakura approached, he glanced at her and embraced her. It's been a long time, Sakura. Sakura giggled. It has. It's great to have you back, Naruto. Oh, I hope so, Naruto replied, releasing her shortly after. How has everything been? I couldn't talk to you during all this time? Sakura shrugged. It's been quiet. Nothing exciting has happened, but I think that's okay. Naruto laughed. Oh, I hope so. And how has everyone else been? I mean Neji, Hinata, and… Naruto? Startled, Naruto turned around to see the one person he had thought about throughout his journey. Ino looked at Naruto in surprise. She hadn't known he was back. Although 3 years had passed, seeing him again was a shock. As she took in his taller frame and more defined features, she noticed the muscles beneath his jacket, which seemed worn from intense training. She couldn't believe he was back already. What Naruto likely didn't know was that Ino had thought about him every day since he left during training, missions, and her free time. Now that he was finally back, she was overjoyed to see the most important person in her life again. Naruto? Naruto noticed how Ino had changed as well. She had grown taller, her hair longer, and she looked more beautiful than ever. Happiness filled him at the sight of her. Ino, he said, stepping toward her. Without hesitation, Ino ran into him, wrapping her arms around him excitedly, spinning them both slightly before they came to a stop. You're back, she exclaimed, beaming. Naruto smiled. Of course. I promised. It's great to see you after all this time. Ino smiled back. I'm happy to see you too, she said, hugging him again, both of them oblivious to the curious glances from passers-by. Suddenly, Naruto remembered he had to report to Tsunade. Oh no, Granny Tsunade is going to kill me. I need to see her right now. Ino giggled. Don't worry, I'll come with you. Are you in too, Sakura? Sakura nodded. Sure. I need to talk to Tsunade anyway. Then let's head out, he exclaimed, quickening his pace toward the Hokage's office, with Ino walking closely beside him and Sakura following behind. As they entered the Hokage building, they stood before Tsunade's office door. Deep down, Naruto felt a flutter of excitement at the thought of seeing his Granny Tsunade again. It had been such a long time, yet he still remembered their first meeting, the fight against Kabuto and Orochimaru that had inspired Tsunade to return to Konohamaru and become the Godame Hokage. And he remembered how upset she was after finding Naruto, Kiba, Neji, Lee, and the others wounded from their mission to retrieve Sasuke, which had clearly failed. They stood in front of the door, and just as Naruto was about to knock, it swung open to reveal an irate Shizune. Naruto blinked in surprise at Shizune's expression. Normally, she was calm, except when Tsunade wasn't acting like a Hokage should. Hey, Shizune. Shizune glanced at him but brushed past, heading down the hall, clearly furious. Feeling foolish, Naruto decided to ignore it and entered the room to find Tsunade buried under piles of paperwork. This paperwork is going to be the end of me someday. If only I had stayed in the gambling business. Alright, what is it? Tsunade looked up to see an amused Naruto, along with a giggling Ino and Sakura. Maybe greet me since I returned just half an hour ago? Tsunade stood up and pulled Naruto into a brief embrace. He felt a bit embarrassed but was genuinely happy to see her again. So you're back, huh? And you've already met Ino and Sakura, I see? Naruto shrugged. I hope you didn't mind waiting a bit. Tsunade grinned. No problem. Honestly, I wasn't expecting you today. But since you're here, we can get right to business. She leaned on her desk. I don't know if you've been informed, but now that you're back, there will be many missions for you. However, there's a problem. Naruto raised an eyebrow, curious about what could be so significant. As a genin, you can only take rank D and C missions, while your teammates have already completed some B rank missions. It took a moment for Naruto to grasp what she meant, and when he did, he felt crushed. He turned to Sakura and Ino. You're telling me all of you are Chunins? Ino giggled. Shikamaru is already a Jonin, and Neji is on his way to becoming one as well. Naruto felt completely defeated. He was the only genin left in his group. His return couldn't have gone worse. Fortunately, you have the chance to take a special test, and if you pass, you'll receive the rank of Chunin. Naruto's eyes lit up. Really? Who will be testing me? I will. Boom. Everyone in the room jumped. Naruto turned to see Kakashi standing behind him. To everyone's surprise, Naruto had instinctively moved to punch him, but Kakashi caught his fist just in time. Your reflexes are impressive, but you shouldn't attack an ally. Naruto recognized who he was speaking to and withdrew his fist. Sorry. Bad habit from my missions with Jiraiya. Kakashi regarded him with a raised eyebrow. What missions could those be? Realizing his slip, Naruto tried to recover, leaving Ino and Sakura chuckling. He turned to Kakashi with a serious expression. Now, shall we begin? Naruto and Kakashi stood on Team 7's former training ground, with Ino and Sakura nearby, eager to watch the match between mentor and student. All right, Naruto. Your only goal is to retrieve the bells from my belt. You remember the drill. Naruto clenched his fists. I do. Let's finish this. Both of them assumed their fighting stances, and Kakashi announced the start of Naruto's test. Naruto charged at Kakashi, launching a series of punches and jabs, which Kakashi easily blocked. But Naruto was just warming up. He suddenly retreated and summoned 3 shadow clones that rushed at Kakashi. The clones made it harder for Kakashi to defend himself, impressing both Ino and Sakura with Naruto's growth. You really think they can stop me? Fire style, fireball jutsu. Kakashi's technique blew the clones away, enveloping him in a cloud of smoke. When he reappeared, Naruto immediately attacked with his kunai and clones, trying to land powerful combos on Kakashi's defense. But even his close combat tactics couldn't break Kakashi's strategy, forcing Naruto to retreat and carefully consider his next move. You leave me no choice, Kakashi, he exclaimed, panting. Looks like I have to use one of my new techniques. Ino and Sakura watched intently as Naruto prepared for his next attack. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 2 clones appeared next to Naruto, forming a blue sphere that all 3 Kakashi, Sakura, and Ino recognized well. But Naruto didn't stop at the basic Rasengan. The second clone took a specific stance, enhancing the sphere with yellow chakra. Kakashi's eyes widened. It can't be, can it? Once the clones vanished, Naruto held a blue-yellow Rasengan in his hands, something Ino and Sakura had never seen before. It's time to finish this. With that, Naruto charged forward, aiming to strike Kakashi directly. I won't let you. Water style, Water Dragon Jutsu. Kakashi summoned a dragon that rushed toward Naruto, forcing him to drop his Rasengan. But Naruto was prepared. He threw his Rasengan at the dragon. Just before it could hit, the Rasengan vanished in a flash, and so did Naruto. Kakashi's technique faded, and all 3 ninjas wondered where Naruto had gone. But it was only a moment before they heard a familiar voice. Flash Port Rasengan. Suddenly, both Naruto and his Rasengan appeared behind Kakashi. Before he could react, the Rasengan struck him, resulting in a flash of blue light and a large cloud of smoke. When the smoke cleared, Naruto stood alone, puzzled by what had just happened. Then he heard footsteps approaching from the woods. Not bad, no. That technique was well developed and certainly surprised me. But you need to realize you were fighting a clone. Ino and Sakura were amazed. All this time, it had only been a clone battling Naruto. Kakashi must have summoned it right after using his fireball jutsu as a distraction. As time ran out, Naruto had failed his test. I'm sorry, Naruto, but you'll remain a genin for a while. Contrary to expectations, Naruto burst into laughter, causing the 3 of them to flinch. That was a marvelous fight, Kakashi-sensei. But you have to be careful as well, he said, extending his hand to reveal Kakashi's bells. Kakashi was astonished. He hadn't noticed Naruto stealing them. How did you do that? Naruto grinned and showed Kakashi one of his kunai, modified with a seal that Kakashi recognized all too well. Just after Kakashi was hit, the clone had vanished. Naruto knew where Kakashi was hiding and positioned one of his modified kunai at his current location, throwing the other one toward the forest. As he was teleported behind Kakashi, he snatched the bells and teleported straight back to the center of the courtyard just before the smoke cleared. Kakashi chuckled. I see. Clever technique. But where did you learn to use it? Jiraiya helped me, mentioning that the 4th used a similar jutsu as well. Kakashi smiled, realizing Naruto was following the same path as his father. Both Ino and Sakura approached Naruto to congratulate him. "That was great, Naruto," Ino said, giving him a quick hug. Before she could pull away, both Kakashi and Sakura exchanged awkward smiles, leaving Naruto and Ino feeling a bit embarrassed. "Thanks, Ino. I appreciate it," he replied, beaming. She blushed slightly before Kakashi spoke again. "Alright, shall we head back to the 5th and report on your success?" Naruto nodded, and all 4 of them made their way back to the village. "Phew, I thought this would never end," Naruto said with a laugh as they stepped out of the Hokage's office. The meeting with Tsunade had taken the entire afternoon, and it was already getting dark. Naruto, Sakura, and Ino stood on the road, ready to say their goodbyes. "Alright, see you tomorrow." "Sleep well," Sakura said as she turned to leave. Naruto and Ino waved goodbye, but just as Naruto was about to say something, he remembered something important. I need to get new clothes." Ino giggled. "I was wondering when you would notice they were in tatters." Naruto grinned. "All thanks to my training. I've had this outfit for nearly 5 years. I need to get new ones for tomorrow's mission. Do you know a store that's still open?" Ino nodded. "I do. And if you beat me in a race there, I might give you some fashion tips." With that, she took off. Naruto stood momentarily stunned before chasing after her. During the race, he noticed how fast she was. "Not bad, but I'm faster than you." He followed her until they reached the store Ino had mentioned. Using his shadow clone technique, he propelled himself ahead of her and arrived first. "Grinny," declared, "I won." "You cheated. We never agreed on using jutsu," Ino teased. Naruto laughed. "Gotta use what you have. So, can you help me out here?" Half an hour later, Naruto and Ino left the store. Naruto had completely changed his look, swapping his orange jacket and pants for a sleek black jacket with red stripes and matching black trousers. Ino stared at him, clearly impressed. Suddenly, Naruto's stomach growled, prompting a nervous laugh from him. "I haven't eaten since this morning. Maybe Ichiraku's is still serving food." Ino smiled. "Or you could join me for dinner with my family." Naruto blinked in surprise. "Are you sure? This early? What about your parents?" "Come on. What are you afraid of? They won't mind, trust me," she said, grabbing his wrist and leading him along. They soon arrived at the Yamanaka flower store, which also served as the family's home. Naruto often visited after school and missions to have lunch with Ino. "Are you sure they don't mind?" he asked again. "I'm sure, Naruto. Now let's go inside. They'll be happy to see you." With that, they entered the apartment. "I'm back," Ino called out. "Did you have a great day?" Naruto heard Mrs. Yamanaka's voice from the kitchen, likely preparing the dinner Ino had mentioned. "More than great," Ino replied, beaming at Naruto, which made him smile too. "What could have happened today?" Ino's mother said as she entered the room and spotted them together. "Good evening, Mrs. Yamanaka," Naruto greeted happily. Ino's mother looked him over, her eyes widening in recognition. "Naruto, is that really you? You've grown." Naruto smiled, feeling a bit embarrassed until Ino interjected. "Mom, do you and Dad mind if Naruto has dinner with us?" "Of course not, sweetie. I know how much you missed him." Suddenly, Ino's face turned red. "Mom!" Mrs. Yamanaka laughed, leaving Naruto unsure of how to react. "Thank you, Mrs. Yamanaka, Mr. Yamanaka. That was really outstanding," Naruto said, feeling satisfied after the delicious dinner. Normally, an amazing meal like that would only be possible at Ichiraku's, but he had to admit that Ino's mother could cook. "I'm happy to hear that, Naruto," Mrs. Yamanaka replied. Inoichi, Ino's father, looked up as he wanted to speak to Naruto. "So, Naruto, tell me, what have you and Jiraiya been up to these past 3 years?" Naruto smiled, clearly embarrassed. He didn't feel comfortable discussing his missions. "Well, we were hunting down some bandits, rebuilding cities, that kind of stuff." Inoichi studied him closely. "Is that all? Nothing more?" Naruto grew nervous. He knew that Inoichi was aware of his connection to the Kyuubi, but he didn't want to discuss his training in front of Ino, who didn't know the full story. Sensing the tension, Ino quickly changed the subject. "We could talk about that some other time," couldn't we, Dad? Inoichi glanced at her. Of course. I'm just curious about what Naruto has been doing all this time. Mrs. Yamanaka smiled at Naruto. Do you still have your apartment, or do you need somewhere to stay? No. Thank you very much, but I don't want to impose. I still have my place, so you don't have to worry. But I should get going. Thank you again for dinner. It was delicious. I'll walk you out, Ino offered. So, will you tell me what happened? Ino asked as they walked down the road toward Naruto's house. She had noticed his nervousness during dinner, but he didn't want to burden her with his troubles. What are you talking about? He replied. Ino sighed, sensing that there was more to the story. You've reacted the same way when Kakashi asked those questions. You were nervous then too. What happened? Naruto made up his mind. He definitely wasn't ready to tell Ino about the demon inside him. Like I said, nothing exciting. Just regular missions. Ino sighed again. Listen, Naruto. I've been your friend for years now, since our first day in the academy. I know when something is bothering you. You can trust me, you know. But let me know. Naruto reconsidered. Suddenly, he felt a wave of warmth flow through his body. He wasn't ready to share, but he had wanted to talk to her about it for so long. Right here and now seemed like the best time and place. Naruto sighed. Alright, I'll tell you. Just know that what you hear might change how you see me. Ino looked at him with curiosity. You know that won't happen. Naruto glanced at her. Weren't you always wondering why everyone in the village looked at me with fear and disdain? He was right. Ino had thought about it but never lingered on it for too long. You remember the story of the mighty fourth Hokage who saved the village by sealing a powerful beast, the nine-tailed fox, inside a child? Ino nodded, beginning to understand. But she didn't like where this was heading. You see, Ino, that child was me. Ino stared at Naruto, realizing that the child with the terrible beast inside was Naruto himself. The training trip with Jiraiya was to help me control the beast within. We went through intense training that pushed my body to its limits. But I was determined to prove I could control it. I worked hard, and while it didn't go perfectly, I know that someday I will control it. I will. Naruto was interrupted when Ino hugged him tightly. She had sensed something was troubling Naruto, but she never imagined it was such a heavy burden. Naruto waited a moment before returning the hug, feeling happy that he could finally share this with her. He was glad she understood. I'm sorry, Naruto. I didn't know, and I couldn't be there for you. A tear rolled down Naruto's cheek. Trust me, you were there for me. Your support helped me a lot. As the moon shone brightly, the two stood on the street, holding each other for comfort. Naruto was preparing for the day. He had woken up less than 20 minutes ago and was getting ready for his first mission as a Chunin. He couldn't wait, though he wasn't sure what the mission would entail. He considered a trip to Suna or the Land of Waves but couldn't confirm anything. Naruto left his apartment and went for a morning jog. During his training trip, he and Jiraiya always started their day with a run to warm up. At first, Naruto felt like he was going to collapse, but the more they jogged, the more he got used to it. Now, he couldn't imagine skipping it. The village was still quiet, with most people still asleep. Naruto enjoyed waking up early. It was one of the reasons he wanted to make the most of his mornings. As he ran, he began to think about his serious conversation with Ino the day before. He recalled how she approached him about his training with Jiraiya, how she tried to comfort him, and how she embraced him. Naruto felt grateful that he could finally open up to her. It hurt to have kept it a secret for so long. His thoughts drifted back to Sasuke and their fight at the valley, where he had used his fox powers for the first time. He remembered how he had wanted to hurt Sasuke to bring him back, and how the sadness in Sakura had turned to anger towards him. It wasn't the best way to reach out to someone he considered a rival and a friend. In that emotional state, the QB had taken over. Now, Naruto thought about Ino again. He had always seen her as someone who could calm him down, someone who could help keep the fox at bay. That was another reason she was so important to him. Suddenly, a loud noise interrupted his thoughts, sounding like an explosion. This early? In Konoha? He needed to check it out. Naruto ran toward the source of the explosion. When he arrived, he couldn't believe his eyes. A masked man stood over someone, and it sent a chill down Naruto's spine when he recognized her. Anko! Anko glanced at Naruto before being struck again by the masked man. That was enough for Naruto. He rushed toward the masked man, determined to protect Anko. Naruto summoned 3 clones and commanded them to attack. Though they were fast, they couldn't keep up with the masked man's speed. It seemed he was always one step ahead. Soon, all of Naruto's clones were defeated. Seizing the opportunity, Naruto charged directly at the masked man, throwing punches and jabs. He had to increase his pace with every second of the fight. How was it possible for this masked person to outpace him every time? With or without kunai, none of Naruto's attacks landed. Then he noticed something, a distinct red spot in the masked man's left eye, the only part of his face not covered. He possessed a Sharingan. He could foresee every attack Naruto planned. Naruto shivered. This meant there was another user of the Sharingan, like Sasuke, Itachi, and Kakashi, and he was clearly skilled. Naruto tried to devise a plan to take him down. By slowing his combat pace, he implied he was tiring, and the attacker seemed to grow more confident, risking more direct hits than before. Naruto managed to block all of his opponent's attacks, realizing that his plan was working. When the masked attacker aimed for his chest, Naruto seized the opportunity. He used the body replacement technique to create some distance and launched a kunai at the assailant. Although he missed by a few inches, he managed to tear the right sleeve of the attacker, revealing a tattoo that covered his entire arm. The intricate lines resembled branches of a forest, and a realization struck Naruto. This symbol was associated with the deep forest emergence jutsu of the first Hokage. Could this man have Senju blood? And how could he wield a Sharingan? Naruto couldn't answer either question, but one thing was clear. This man posed a significant threat to the Hidden Leaf Village. However, Naruto had no time to ponder further. As both shinobi heard the voices of other ninjas from Konoha approaching, they knew reinforcements were on the way. The masked man attempted to flee the scene, but Naruto was determined not to let him escape. He chased after the attacker, but the masked man was quick, and Naruto struggled to keep up. Realizing he had one last chance, he used a clone to form a Rasengan as they ran. Once it was ready, Naruto hurled the spinning sphere at the fleeing figure, hoping to stop him. Spiralizing Power Sphere. The Rasengan shot forward at high speed, and Naruto was confident it would hit. But he was unprepared for the masked man's response. He turned and performed a technique similar to Kakashi's. Kamui. In an instant, both the Rasengan and the masked man vanished in a spiral of nothingness. He had escaped. Frustrated and angry, Naruto pushed those feelings aside, focusing instead on Anko. Returning to the scene, he found Anko lying on the ground as medics worked to assist her. He sat beside her, feeling helpless. Then he noticed something alarming. A piece of skin was missing where Anko's snake seal had been. The attacker must have carved it out, which seemed to be his true objective. Naruto's anger flared again. He knew Orochimaru had placed that seal on Anko as part of an experiment, but she had managed to control it. Why would anyone want to remove it? The gravity of the situation hit him hard. Are you absolutely sure, Naruto? Tsunade asked, her gaze fixed on him from behind her desk. Sakura, Ino, and Irika listened intently. I am certain. This attack was not random. Anko was specifically targeted, and it was carefully planned, Naruto replied. How can you be so sure? Tsunade questioned, skepticism in her voice. The attacker was focused on the cursed mark on her neck, the seal Orochimaru placed on her. There's no way that piece of skin was cut out by chance. He's right, Lady Tsunade. The medics confirmed that the chakra linked to the mark was also extracted, Sakura added. Tsunade nodded, considering the implications. Do you know who could have done this? Naruto hesitated. He had no idea who orchestrated the attack, but he was certain of the motive and the possible connections. Just then, Kakashi burst into the room, urgency in his demeanor. Anko is stable for now. Do we have any information on the attacker? He asked. I was just about to ask Naruto. Please, tell us, Tsunade urged. With no choice but to share his theory, Naruto spoke up. First, he wore a white mask and a black coat, making identification difficult. But I noticed two important details. He paused, unsure of Tsunade's reaction but knowing he had to continue. On his right arm, there were symbols that suggested he belongs to the Senju clan. Tsunade's fists clenched, a storm of emotions brewing within her. It was troubling to think that someone from her own clan could be involved in such a deadly attack, but she remained composed and listened to Naruto. The second detail is, he had a Sharingan. So he either took the eye from someone or he is another Uchiha. Sakura and Ino gasped, and Kakashi appeared momentarily stunned. And I believe I know why he targeted Anko. He had a belt similar to what Orochimaru and the Sound 4 from Otogekure wore. Since his target was the cursed mark, it must be connected to Sasuke. I'm certain of it. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed Naruto's words. No one dared to breathe, considering the implications. As he spoke, another thought struck him about the attacker's identity, a Sharingan and a Senju mark. It could only mean one thing. I also believe he must be related. Naruto hesitated again, knowing how difficult this would be to say. He must be related. To the former leaders of Konoha. To the founders of our village. To both Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju. An uncomfortable silence settled in the Hokage's office. Everyone stared at Naruto, Sakura and Ino in confusion, Kakashi in fear, and Tsunade with a serious expression that barely concealed her inner turmoil. Naruto met her gaze, fully aware of the weight of his words. He knew it was risky to link the attacker to Hashirama and Madara, especially given Tsunade's connection to Hashirama and the village's ignorance of Madara's legacy. How do you know about Madara? Tsunade asked, her voice steady but laced with tension. It doesn't matter right now. What's important is, I asked, how do you know about Madara? Naruto stared intently at Tsunade. She wouldn't answer his questions unless he answered hers first. During my training with the Kyuubi, he began, causing both Kakashi and Sakura to flinch at the mention of the beast. I caught a glimpse of some of its memories. Memories that revealed the Bijou was involved in the battle between Madara and Hashirama. Tsunade nodded briefly. It wasn't her intention for anyone to learn about the infamous battle fought by the former friends. But now, Naruto was aware of it. Granny Tsunade, what's more important is that we have to go after the attacker. This attack is connected to Sasuke, I'm sure of it. When we find him, no mission will target the retrieval of Sasuke. Naruto's gaze hardened. It was foolish to obstruct an important mission just because of Sasuke. This isn't just about Sasuke. It's about the person who attacked Anko, for goodness sake. Everyone in the room was taken aback. They knew Naruto could become passionate, but not to this extent. He was showing a side of himself that was more intense than usual. Tsunade regarded Naruto, weighing her options. But it was clear she had already made up her mind. Naruto, I can't authorize the mission. It's too dangerous. It would only risk. A Sharingan and a Senju clan tattoo are things you're willing to ignore? Tsunade looked at him, surprised. She hadn't expected that response. I'm not the smartest, but even I can see that the combination of those clan abilities poses a danger to everyone involved. It threatens not only ordinary people and ninjas but especially the Jinchuriki. Especially me. Tsunade was even more surprised by his mature tone. He truly cared for his village. I will go after him whether you like it or not. To uncover the truth. And if you don't approve, I don't care. I know what my responsibilities are. With that, he turned to leave, only to be stopped by Ino, who embraced him. I'll go with you, she said softly. Ino, you don't have to. Naruto. Naruto turned back to Tsunade, who was now standing. I know I can't stop you. But I command that you take a squad with you. I'm not letting you leave alone. Naruto nodded. He was relieved that Tsunade approved of this mission, so he wouldn't have to sneak out of the village. According to my information, parts of all teams are busy. But some ninjas are available. They are you, Hinata, Tino, and Sai. Naruto looked at her, confused for more than one reason. Wait, who is Sai? And why can't Sakura come with us? Sakura has to stay here. We need all medical forces available. Unfortunately, she will be out of the roster. As for Sai, He is an excellent ninja sent by the ANBU forces as backup. He was supposed to join. Sakura began, but Kakashi cut her off. It didn't take much more for Naruto to understand what she wanted to say. You see Sasuke as a criminal. You want to replace him with this Sai guy. I see. He turned back to Tsunade, not waiting for Kakashi or Sakura's reactions. Could you inform Hinata and Sai to get ready? I would like to leave early tomorrow. Tsunade nodded. I will. And you, Naruto, will be the squad leader. Make sure to keep your team together. Naruto nodded in agreement. He knew he could handle this responsibility. He had to. Time passed quickly since the meeting with Tsunade. He walked through the streets, observing everyone in Konoha closely. Every face, every motion. It felt like home. Naruto, can I? Naruto turned to see Ino behind him, just as beautiful as ever. To him, she was the prettiest girl in the entire village. Can I join you? Naruto simply nodded and walked alongside Ino. After some time and an awkward silence, Naruto took Ino's hand and intertwined it with his own. Ino blushed slightly but didn't pull away. They walked together, enjoying the silence and each other's presence. Suddenly, Naruto rushed forward, pulling Ino with him. She didn't know what he was planning but followed eagerly. After some ninja jumps and running, they found themselves atop Hokage Mountain, standing on the head of the Yondaime. Naruto and Ino stood side by side, looking down at the lights of the village. As night fell, the village seemed to glow brighter than before. It was beautiful. Naruto turned to Ino, releasing her hand to gently touch her cheek. She blushed deeply but didn't resist. Ino, you don't have to come with me. It will be dangerous, and I don't know if I can control myself when I see Sasuke. I don't want you to witness what might happen when we finally meet. Ino placed a finger on Naruto's lips, silencing him. I don't want to hear anything. I will definitely come with you. I will be there when it matters. We will get through this together. Naruto smiled again, happy memories of their first day together and the many days that followed flooding his mind. He was truly glad that she was his best friend. No more than that. Ino, I've wanted to say this for a long time. She gazed into his eyes, seeing hope and emotion reflected back. He saw doubt and emotion in hers. She stroked his cheek, understanding what he was about to say. Naruto, Naruto leaned forward and kissed her gently. It was unexpected, but after a moment, Ino melted into the kiss. They both felt the emotions and happiness radiating between them. Now they had each other. Forever. After a while, they broke apart to catch their breath. And then it was finally said, Ino, I love you. I truly do. Ino smiled brightly. Those words echoed in her mind, and she couldn't shake them. Her entire focus was on Naruto, the handsome boy she had finally fallen for, who had fallen for her in return. Tears of joy streamed down her cheeks. She was thrilled to finally say those 3 words she had longed to hear from him since he left 3 years ago. I love you too, No. I do. He began to smile as well. Both of them began giggling before Naruto wrapped his arms around Ino's waist, and she draped her arms over his shoulders. They shared another sweet kiss, filled with positive emotions and the love that had been building between them for the past 3 years. Finally, it was released, and both Naruto and Ino felt a wave of happiness wash over them. Hinata walked toward the front gate, having received a message from Lady Tsunade that she was assigned to a mission outside the village. She arrived at the designated meeting point and checked her clock. It was 7:56 a.m. Soon, the others should arrive. That was when she noticed a flash of blonde hair moving up and down. Hinata turned her head to see none other than Naruto doing sit-ups against the wall. He looked energetic, and she wondered how long he had been there, so she walked toward him. 996. Oh boy, how long has Naruto been doing this? 1000. Naruto finally stood up, appearing even more energetic than before. He motioned to take off running but then noticed Hinata standing nearby. Oh hey, Hinata, he greeted her with his usual smile. Hinata blushed slightly. Even after 3 years, her feelings for him had only grown stronger. Suddenly, Naruto walked over and gave her a friendly hug. Hinata was taken by surprise and didn't know how to react, but after a few seconds, he pulled away. I noticed we haven't seen each other since I got back, so I wanted to give you a friendly hug. Once again, his extraordinary smile made her heart flutter. I'm happy to have you back, Naruto. But how long have you been training here? Naruto checked his clock. 7, so I've been here for nearly 4 hours. Hinata's eyes widened. You were here since 4 a.m.? Naruto simply nodded. Gotta be prepared for the upcoming mission, you know. It'll be tough, but I know we can do this. He glanced over to the gate. Speaking of which, here come our teammates. As Hinata turned around, her heart sank. She saw an unfamiliar guy and Ino approaching. It hurt to see Ino with them, knowing how close she and Naruto had been even before his 3-year journey. Hi Ino. And you? You must be Sai, right? Hinata said. Sai bowed slightly. Correct. Nice to meet you, squad leader Naruto. Naruto blushed slightly. No need to be so formal. Just call me Naruto. Sai nodded and smiled. Ino chimed in. So what's the deal, squad leader? What's the plan? She asked teasingly. Naruto shot her a quick glare before gathering his group. Alright, listen up. You all heard about the attack on Anko. The attacker left some traces, including his Sharingan, Senju blood, and Anko's cursed mark made by Orochimaru. So it has to be connected to him and his experiments. My plan is to travel to Otogakure and gather as much information as we can to uncover the whereabouts of Orochimaru, Sasuke, or the unknown ninja. He glanced at each of his squad members, noting their serious expressions. It sounds risky, to be honest, Sai remarked. Otogakure might be crawling with ninja loyal to Orochimaru or the deceased Sound Ninja. It'll be dangerous to just go there. Naruto understood his concern. I've already considered the dangers. The problem is we have no other option. Besides Oto, I have no other leads on the attacker, and I have no idea where Orochimaru could be. Hinata spoke up. Ask the Kazekage for help. All eyes turned to her. She startled and blushed but continued. One of my recent missions took our team to the Sand Village. The Kazekage had to deal with several bandits who had cursed marks. Maybe he knows something. Naruto considered her suggestion. It would be nice to see Gaara again, but from what Hinata had told him, he had no proof that those bandits were Oto ninja. Still, he decided that Hinata's proposal was the safest approach for their mission. Sounds good. What do you all think? Sai looked at him in surprise. You're asking your squad to decide with you? Naruto tilted his head. I don't see myself as a leader. This mission will only work if we work together. So, yeah, I guess. Sai chuckled. It's just that at the ANBU, we get our orders and have to follow them without question. Naruto shrugged. Well, this isn't the ANBU. I need you all to help me with this. So let's get going. Sooner it is. With that, the team began their journey toward the hidden sand village. The squad had been moving for nearly 2 hours. It was a long trip to Suna, but the team still had energy and was determined to make the journey in one day. Naruto ran ahead, reflecting on everything that had happened in the past 3 days. His fight with Kakashi, the dinner with Ino, the attack on Anko, his and Ino's first kiss, and now his first Chunin mission, one that was already so significant. Suddenly, Naruto heard several voices in his head. He immediately stopped running, and his teammates halted a few seconds later. As he stood there in the deep forest, the voices grew louder. Ino approached him. What's wrong? Naruto scanned the entire forest, unable to see anyone. He wondered if he was imagining things or if someone was using a genjutsu. I hear voices. Someone is talking. Ino listened closely to the forest. I don't hear anything. It's just, I hear them too, Hinata exclaimed. Naruto looked at her, relieved to know he wasn't losing his mind. Someone was definitely playing with them. Even though he couldn't understand what the voices were saying, he suddenly recognized one phrase that sounded all too familiar. Fire style, fireball jutsu. Naruto's eyes widened, and he motioned for his team to take cover. Step back. Fortunately, they reacted quickly and avoided the massive fireball that shot toward them. Naruto quickly scanned the woods for their opponent and spotted them. But their attackers were launching more jutsus at them. Suddenly, a water dragon rushed toward them, and while dodging it, Naruto saw a handful of flaming shuriken being thrown their way. He blocked them all and finally had enough time to identify his opponents. It shattered him to see a certain person he had hoped to avoid encountering again. Together, with his shark-like partner and their dark, clouded coats, Itachi stood poised on a nearby tree. Itachi! Naruto glared at the Akatsuki member, recognizing him instantly. It was the same as when they first met during Naruto's mission with Jiraiya to find Lady Tsunade and bring her back to Konoha as Hokage after the passing of Lord Sarutobi. Itachi's black hair, fighting stance, and even his voice remained unchanged. As Naruto locked eyes with Itachi, he was met with two piercing red eyes. Itachi was the first Sharingan user Naruto had ever faced, even before his confrontation with Sasuke. But Naruto sensed that Itachi was holding back, testing the strength of the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. It was the reason Naruto had embarked on this training trip with Jiraiya, to learn to control and harness the power of the Nine Tails. It's been a long time, Naruto Uzumaki, Itachi said calmly. Naruto maintained his glare, refusing to show any sign of weakness. It has. Ino glanced at Naruto, curious. How do you know him? Before Naruto could respond, Itachi interjected. Oh, it seems I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Itachi Uchiha. And this, he gestured to his partner, is Kisame Hoshigaki. Ino's eyes widened. An Uchiha? How? Itachi chuckled softly. I'm surprised you didn't tell your friend about our previous encounter, Naruto. Because I had no reason to. And because you were defeated by Sasuke. Sasuke? Achim. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Why are you here, Itachi? What do you want? The same thing I wanted when we first met 3 years ago. Well, you're not going to get him, Naruto shouted defiantly. Kisame laughed. Do you even know who we are, kid? We are Akatsuki. We get what we want, and you won't stop us. Don't underestimate him, Hoshigaki, Itachi warned. Kisame looked surprised at Itachi's tone. He is strong. And he has grown even stronger over the past 3 years. He nearly defeated Sasuke. Kisame scoffed. Well, that's not saying much. Sasuke isn't that strong. Anyone could take him down with a bit of training. Itachi shot Kisame a sharp glare. Be careful, Kisame. Even Sasuke is stronger than you think. Kisame shrugged and turned back to the shinobi below. Itachi addressed them again. Now, shall we finish this, Naruto? Suddenly, Itachi transformed into a flock of crows that scattered into the sky. Naruto yelled and chased after them, only to be ambushed by Kisame's water jutsu. He dodged the attacks with agility and continued running. Naruto! Ino called out. She sighed and turned to Sai and Hinata. You take care of him. I'll go after Naruto. She sprinted in the same direction as Naruto. Hinata hesitated, wanting to follow, but Sai stopped her. Hinata, I need you here. Hinata stepped behind Sai, readying herself for battle. Kisame laughed, drawing his sword and charging at the two ninjas. Sai and Hinata dodged and prepared to counterattack. This is going to be fun. Kisame exclaimed as he lunged at them again. Sai drew his half-blade, blocking Kisame's sword strike, giving Hinata the opportunity to attack. She unleashed a flurry of punches, forcing Kisame to step back and defend against her strikes. They exchanged blows rapidly until both retreated to reassess. Hinata! Sai called out. Hinata glanced back at him. I need some time to prepare a jutsu. Hold him off as long as you can. Hinata nodded and activated her Byakugan. Kisame laughed, seeing her seriousness. Now we're getting somewhere. Time for my move. He threw his sword into the air and formed hand signs for a jutsu. Water style, Cascade Storm Jutsu. A massive wave erupted behind Kisame, flooding the forest floor. Sai leaped onto a nearby tree, struggling to dodge the torrent as he prepared his own jutsu. Hinata, however, used the floating rocks propelled into the air by the cascade to evade the water and landed on a large rock. Kisame grinned, disappearing into the water. Hinata focused her Byakugan, spotting multiple chakra points within the waves. She realized too late the danger he posed. Suddenly, Kisame leaped from the water, aiming to strike Hinata with his sword. She dodged just in time, but he vanished back beneath the surface. The water gives him so much room to maneuver. I have to stop him quickly. Kisame resurfaced, charging at Hinata on the rock. She blocked his rapid strikes with her palm taijutsu, engaging in another quick exchange of attacks. Finally, he retreated, contemplating his next move. Kisame charged again, blocking her punch. Suddenly, the spikes on his sword detached, aiming to ensnare Hinata. He grinned, believing he had her cornered. But Hinata smiled back. Using her body replacement technique, she appeared behind Kisame just as he realized what was happening. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. Hinata's technique landed perfectly, overwhelming Kisame with a barrage of strikes. He was sent crashing into a nearby tree, causing his cascade jutsu to dissipate and the water to recede. Kisame stood up, ready to retaliate, but was interrupted by a voice from the forest. Secret art, twin lion beast explosion. Sai summoned 2 lions with his painting technique. They charged at Kisame, and before he could react, they burst apart in a spectacular explosion that shook the ground. As the smoke cleared, both Hinata and Sai were stunned to see Kisame standing unharmed. But their surprise quickly turned to realization as he dissolved into a cloud of smoke. Clone, Sai said, piecing it together. Hinata gasped, frustration boiling within her. They had wasted their energy battling a mere clone. She clenched her fists, determined to fight back. She hoped Naruto would be fine. Naruto was running. Even after hearing several explosions, he didn't stop. He trusted Hinata and Sai to handle Kisame. He had to concentrate on Itachi. Speaking of which, Itachi suddenly launched another fireball at Naruto, which he dodged just in time. Naruto stood up and glared at Itachi, who had materialized on the ground. Ino stopped next to Naruto, and both ninjas took their fighting stances. So, who wants to go first? Itachi asked, hoping to provoke Naruto into rushing at him without a plan. But it didn't work. Naruto stood still, not making any move to attack Itachi. Ino glanced at Naruto. Let's fight him together. With our combined powers. Ino smiled, pleased that Naruto was starting to think like a squad leader. The two of them rushed simultaneously at Itachi, who remained motionless. Both Ino and Naruto bombarded him with punches, jabs, kicks, and even attacks with their ninja tools. Unfortunately, Itachi was able to block every single attack with ease. Growing frustrated, Naruto stepped back and summoned some clones to assist Ino in fighting Itachi. Itachi had more trouble fending off Ino and 3 of Naruto's clones but managed to remain mostly unharmed. That was until Naruto's clones dissolved, and he rushed at Itachi, hitting him directly with his Rasengan. Itachi, using his Sharingan, anticipated Naruto's attempt and formed a flame sword to counter. But then Naruto vanished and reappeared behind Itachi, using the same technique he had against Kakashi. This time, however, Itachi's Sharingan could not be deceived. He quickly turned around and struck Naruto, but what looked like a hit turned into confusion as the Naruto he hit disappeared again, leaving Itachi wide open. Before he could react, he felt the impact of Ino's powerful punch hitting him squarely in the face. Far behind her was Naruto. Itachi understood, the attacking Naruto were just clones. The real Naruto had used the distraction to propel Ino toward Itachi for a critical hit. The plan worked. Itachi was knocked back and crashed into a nearby giant tree. There we go, Ino exclaimed happily. We got him. Naruto shouted, high-fiving Ino. They quickly returned to their fighting stances as Itachi began to rise again. Itachi only smirked. Nice attack. But that won't be enough to stop me. Itachi closed his eyes, only to widen them moments later. Naruto froze, noticing how Itachi's Sharingan had changed to a black shuriken-like iris. Naruto didn't know what it meant, but he sensed danger. Amaterasu! Itachi's eyes began to bleed, and suddenly, black flames erupted on the ground, ready to engulf Ino and Naruto. They both stood frozen in shock, but Naruto quickly reacted, scooping Ino up in his arms and dodging the hellish flames. The flames continued to spread, but they managed to evade them just in time. When they reached one of the giant trees, the flames halted their advance, continuing to burn but not spreading further. Naruto gently set a blushing Ino down and looked at Itachi. Both of his eyes were bleeding, and he was gasping for air, clearly exhausted. Naruto saw this as his chance to finish Itachi off. He summoned a clone and created a Rasengan, ready to charge at Itachi, but suddenly felt Ino's hands on his. He looked at her, confused. Ino smiled and infused her chakra into the Rasengan, transforming it into a blue-purple sphere. Naruto smiled at Ino, silently thanking her for her support. He then turned back to Itachi. "We will finish you off, Itachi. Together." With that, Naruto and Ino launched off the tree, holding the Rasengan together as they dashed at Itachi. Itachi attempted to control the flames again with his Sharingan, but he was too weak and too late. Naruto and Ino managed to land a critical hit on Itachi. The new Rasengan began to show its effects. Lillian Rasengan. Itachi was engulfed in a powerful violet explosion. Naruto and Ino were blasted back, but Naruto managed to grab Ino's hand and pull her toward him, holding her tightly. For a moment, they just stared into each other's eyes, but their moment was interrupted when Itachi dropped to the ground. They were thrilled to have defeated him, but then they realized in shock that Itachi had merely dissolved, revealing himself to be a clone. Naruto was enraged that they had wasted so much time on a clone, but he had no energy to express his frustration. Instead, he turned to Ino and, still holding her close, kissed her. That kiss quickly turned into a passionate moment. They soon pulled away to catch their breath after the fight. Naruto hugged Ino, who happily rested her head on his chest. "Thanks for coming after me," Naruto said, exhausted. Ino sighed happily, equally worn out. "That's what a girlfriend should do, right?" she replied, only then realizing what she had said. She blushed deeply, but Naruto just chuckled and pulled her into another kiss. When they broke apart, Naruto laughed at the sight of Ino's flushed cheeks. "You don't know how grateful I am to have you as my girlfriend." Ino continued to blush as she nudged Naruto and embraced him again. She was thrilled that their combination had worked so well, and she was sure he felt the same way. Naruto and Ino sat on the ground, holding each other and enjoying the moment. Naruto had to admit once again that Ino looked absolutely stunning. Her combat performance against Itachi proved she was very capable in battle. But even after their victory, Naruto was still frustrated that they had fallen for the clone trick. He pondered Itachi's strategy trying to lure them with a clone. But it didn't matter, he and Ino had overcome this obstacle in their mission. It made him happy that they had harmonized so well in battle, confirming his feelings that Ino was a very important person to him. Naruto glanced to the side and noticed something unusual at the spot where Itachi's clone had fallen. A crow was sitting there, staring at Naruto. He tilted his head, unsure why he felt compelled to do so. Simultaneously, the crow tilted its head in the same direction as Naruto. He couldn't explain it, but he felt captivated by the gaze of the crow, reminiscent of Itachi's eyes. Naruto felt an overwhelming urge and abruptly stood up, releasing Ino, who looked at him with confusion. He ignored her, not out of a lack of desire to engage, but because he found it difficult to meet her gaze. The crow had ensnared him, and he felt powerless to resist. "Naruto?" In an instant, the crow swooped toward him, and everything went dark. The last thing he remembered was the piercing gaze of the crow's Sharingan eyes. Naruto woke up, lying on the ground in the forest where he remembered being before. The crow attack? He stood up, confused about what had happened. The first thing he noticed was that Ino was missing. The second was that the entire world seemed grayer than before, the colors dimmed and almost unrecognizable. As he pondered the situation, a familiar voice broke the silence. "Naruto." He turned to see Itachi. Confusion washed over him. Hadn't he just defeated Itachi in battle? Or was it a clone? He wasn't sure what was real and what was an illusion, but he hoped Itachi could clarify things. "Where am I?" he asked, his tone lacking the usual aggression. In this realm, he felt no hatred toward Itachi, almost as if he were no longer a foe. But Naruto wondered if that was because Itachi had created this world with its own rules. You are in my personal realm. You are caught in a genjutsu. Why? As Itachi spoke, Naruto noticed he wasn't moving his lips. It was as if he was communicating through telepathy. I have to tell you something. Naruto felt compelled to listen. For so long he had harbored hatred towards Sasuke's older brother, but in this moment, that animosity faded away. I know what you're searching for. You're looking for Sasuke, and I want you to tell him something when you find him. Itachi paused, then began whispering something that would have sounded unintelligible to anyone else. But Naruto understood perfectly what he needed to convey to Sasuke. I will tell you where to find him. His and Orochimaru's hideout is near the Tenshikyo Bridge. You'll find him there. Then, Itachi transformed into a swarm of crows that engulfed Naruto. He felt disoriented, and the last sensation before he lost consciousness was the feeling of falling. Waking. Is he? He's up. Naruto? Naruto heard voices calling to him but resisted the urge to respond. He wanted to keep his eyes shut and never wake up again. But he knew he had to eventually. He sat up, surprised to see Ino, Hinata, and Sai looking at him with concern. What happened? He asked, even though he already had an idea. You just collapsed. I caught you in time, and then Sai and Hinata helped me get you to our camp, Ino explained. Naruto sighed, feeling like a burden to his team. He wanted to be a proper leader, but he knew he had failed by leaving them to confront Itachi. How long was I out? Ino thought for a moment. A few hours, I'd say. We decided to camp here and wait for you to wake up. Naruto nodded, standing up and preparing to move. You all get some rest. I'll take a walk. Without another word, he left, not looking back. Naruto wandered aimlessly, having no destination in mind. He just wanted to keep walking. Eventually, he found a large lake and decided to sit by it, taking time to reflect on the day's events. He hadn't expected Itachi to appear again, but he was surprised by the request to talk to Sasuke. Suddenly, he heard rustling in the bushes but didn't bother to turn around. He didn't care who it was. Naruto. To his surprise, it was Hinata. Hey, Hinata, he said without looking at her. Are you all right? He was taken aback by her concern. The only person who usually showed this much care was Ino. Could it be? Yeah, I'm fine. Tired. Silence fell between them, and then he felt Hinata move closer, sitting down next to him with her legs crossed. Do you want to talk about it? Naruto turned to her, noticing her blush. He never quite understood her reactions, but he accepted them as part of who she was. Sighing, he replied, It's nothing serious. It's just, Itachi. The Akatsuki asked me to do something when we meet Sasuke. Hinata flinched. We meet Sasuke? Itachi is Sasuke's older brother. He's the reason for the massacre of their entire clan. Sasuke wants revenge, and I can't blame him for that. Hinata lowered her head. But how do we find Sasuke? Naruto paused, weighing his options. He considered how revealing this information could affect her. Did he trust her enough to share such important details? After a moment of thought, he decided. Itachi told me. She looked startled. Before she could ask more, Naruto stood and reached for her hand. Come on. I'll tell the whole group. Hinata hesitated but then took his hand. He helped her up, and together they headed back to camp, ready to share his new plan with their teammates. Flowery Fox, a NaruIno Fanfiction, Tenshikyo. Alright, listen. We need to prepare our operation properly. As I mentioned, I know where Sasuke's and Orochimaru's hideout is. We have to set up this place. We can't leave anything to chance regarding how the confrontation will unfold. We need to ensure everything is in our favor. Ino nodded. What do you suggest? Naruto glanced at her. I want you to head to Tenshikyo and secure the area. We need a backup plan if anything goes wrong. You understand what I mean. Sai considered this. Are you sure we can trust Itachi? How can we be certain that what he told you is accurate? Naruto turned to Sai, understanding his doubts. Accepting information from a criminal was risky, but he felt a certain trust in Itachi when it came to Sasuke. Itachi had always aimed to protect his younger brother, and that was why Naruto felt inclined to believe him. If this brought Naruto closer to completing his mission, he was willing to take the risk. He is an Akatsuki member, but when it comes to Sasuke, we can trust him. At least, I do. Sai nodded quietly. Naruto couldn't tell if Sai was satisfied with his answer, but he knew that Sai, as a loyal ANBU member, would support his decisions. Hinata lifted her head and looked directly at Naruto. Where will you go, Naruto? I'll head over to Suna and ask for help. I'm sure Gaara would be willing to assist us. I believe in our abilities, but with Orochimaru, we can't be too careful. He killed the third Hokage, and I don't want another casualty on this mission. Ino smiled at her boyfriend, amazed at how mature he had become and how much he cared for his teammates. Naruto nodded. All right, if there are no more questions, let's get started. I'll be going to Suna right now. I'll return in 3 days, so prepare everything and stay safe. Make sure you're alone before you begin your preparations. They all nodded in agreement. Sai and Hinata moved back towards the camp to prepare for their departure, while Ino approached Naruto and hugged him tightly. Take care of them for me, would you? He asked kindly. Ino nodded. Be safe, sweetheart. They separated and shared a quick kiss, filled with unspoken emotions. Naruto loosened himself from her embrace and turned away with a smile. This was their goodbye. At least for now. Naruto moved swiftly through the forest, soon reaching the desert. After some time, he arrived at the gates of Suna. It was already noon when the Suna guards spotted him. Halt! Naruto stood still, ready to explain his presence, but a deep and calm voice interrupted him. It's all right. He can enter. The guards turned and bowed. Of course, Lord Kazekage. The Kazekage nodded at Naruto, who returned the gesture. So, Naruto, what seems to be the problem? Gaara asked as they sat in the Kazekage's office. Gaara was seated at his desk while Naruto stood before him. I don't know if you've heard about Konoha's plan, but we're searching for an attacker with direct connections to Orochimaru and his ninja. As the squad leader, I'm asking for your help. I don't want to risk the lives of my comrades. Gaara considered Naruto's words. Naruto knew that even Gaara and his Sunanin had faced challenges from Orochimaru's sound ninja. He recalled when Gaara and his squad had come to aid him and his friends against the Sound Four. If it would benefit the cooperation between our villages, and I believe it would, then I'm glad to help you. Naruto felt a wave of relief wash over him. He was grateful for Gaara's willingness to assist. He truly needed the support of his friends. All right, who do you think I should take with me? I'd like to leave tomorrow or the day after. Gaara hesitated for a moment, likely considering which ninja would be capable of handling such an important mission. I'll think about it. This is an important matter, and I don't want to be reckless. I'll let you know this evening. You can rest here if you'd like. Naruto nodded and smiled, bowing to Gaara as he left the office. Just as he closed the door, he was surprised to see a certain blonde girl standing there in her classic black outfit. She was slightly shorter than him but certainly 2 years older. He looked at her in surprise as she smiled. What is the great Naruto doing in our beautiful village? Naruto felt a blush creeping up his cheeks. Hey Temari. Her smile widened into a playful grin. No need to blush, lover boy. What are you talking about? She giggled. You know exactly what I mean. But seriously, do you have any business here? Naruto took a moment to regain his composure. He couldn't deny that Temari looked stunning. Memories of their brief encounters during the Chunin exams flooded his mind, but all he could focus on was how close she stood to him. I can tell you, but could you please step back a bit? Temari giggled again before taking a step back. So, he finally managed to clear his mind. I wanted to ask Gaara for help with an important mission. It's about Sasuke and Orochimaru. Temari nodded. I see. Well, I'm going to talk to Gaara right now. If you'll excuse me. She moved toward the door but paused and turned back before opening it. Of course, it would be nice if you could wait for me. It won't take long, and I'm sure you won't leave today. Naruto found himself nodding without saying anything. There it was again. Her smile, that gentle smile. With that, she stepped into the Kazekage's office, leaving Naruto standing there alone. He shook his head, bemused by the moment. I don't know, but her smile is going to be the end of me. Flowery Fox, a NaruIno Fanfiction, The Plan. Chapter End. Oh, you really did wait. Naruto looked up and met Temari's dark blue eyes. She wore a genuine smile, clearly surprised that he had actually waited for her to leave Gaara's office. Well, I said so basically yeah. Temari giggled and gave Naruto a quick peck on the cheek, causing him to blush deeply. Temari, don't do that. Why not, lover boy? You know that you find me attractive? Is that what you want to say, lover boy? She teased. Naruto frowned. No. I already have a girlfriend, you know. Temari giggled again. But you're saying, you know, so there must be something going on inside of you. Before Naruto could respond, she waved her hands to calm him. I'm just kidding. But still, thank you for waiting for me. Her expression turned serious. Gar told me about your mission. He decided that Kankuro and I will join you. Naruto nodded, signaling that he understood. He felt a sense of relief. Temari and Kankuro were capable fighters, and their presence would make the mission safer. Suddenly, Temari waved her hand in front of Naruto's face, pulling him from his thoughts. Sorry, what did you say? I said, let's get Kankuro and head where the others are. They surely need help. Do you want to flirt with me, huh? Naruto blushed slightly. I hope you're kidding. Let's get going. So, do we have everything? Naruto heard Kankuro and Temari bickering. He wasn't eager to join the discussion, as he was preoccupied with thoughts about his team. He knew they were competent, but a sense of unease lingered. Orochimaru and Kabuto were unpredictable, and despite Temari and Kankuro's help, he feared something could go wrong and one of his teammates could be hurt. Earth to Naruto, you hearing me? Naruto turned to Temari, who looked at him with a questioning expression. Sorry, what did you say? Temari pouted. I said that we are ready to go. We can head off now. Naruto nodded. Then let's get going. I don't want to waste any time. Alright, I set up the sensor here. Ino nodded at Hinata's comment. They were currently setting up chakra sensors to alert the team if any shinobi approached. Ino moved forward to set up another sensor when she heard Sai's voice. Ino, did you hear anything from Naruto? Did he arrive in Suna? Ino shook her head. No, he didn't contact me. But I believe he would if something changed. Sai nodded, but Ino sensed uncertainty in him. It was important to keep team morale high, so she decided to address it. What's wrong, Sai? What are you worried about? Sai glanced at her. Nothing serious. Just, what if Naruto doesn't arrive in time? Ino tilted her head in suspicion. What are you talking about? You know, I worked in the ANBU for a while. It's not unusual for some shinobi to leave their comrades behind for their own benefit. Ino looked at Sai in shock. How can you say something like this? Naruto would never abandon his teammates. He fights for them. But how do you explain that he left to get some backup for this mission? Why involve another village when we could handle it ourselves? Ino frowned. You don't know what happened 3 years ago when Orochimaru attacked our village. You didn't see how many people were lost. Naruto knows that. Sai looked annoyed. It's reckless. Just leaving your team behind, whether for the mission's benefit or something else. He cares for his village. For his teammates. He wouldn't want to risk our lives unnecessarily. You know that just as well as I do, Sai. This isn't how you care for your team. This is how you risk their lives. We are completely vulnerable. You realize that, Ino? Ino wanted to argue further, but suddenly an explosion erupted nearby. She was thrown back but caught by Sai. She glanced at him, grateful despite their disagreement. Both turned toward the source of the explosion, questioning who could have attacked them. They saw the sound ninja with their otobelts. So, Itachi's information was correct. But they had more immediate problems to deal with. Naruto gasped, feeling an unsettling intuition about the mission and his squad. He quickened his pace, wanting to arrive before anything could go wrong. Temari noticed his change in speed. What's wrong, Naruto? I don't know, but I have a bad feeling about my squad. We need to hurry. With that, All three of them increased their pace and soon reached the former camp of his squad. They heard several explosions in the vicinity. Naruto and the Suna shinobi moved toward the battlefield, leaving the forest behind. A fierce battle was underway. Naruto caught glimpses of his fellow squad members. Hinata was defending herself against 2 Oto ninja, while Ino and Sai were fending off 5 enemies. Naruto nodded at Kankuro, who rushed to assist Hinata, while Naruto and Temari ran to help Ino and Sai. As soon as they arrived, Temari unleashed her fan, sending powerful gusts of wind at their foes to create space. Naruto leaped in front of Ino and Sai, summoning several shadow clones that charged at the Oto ninja, engaging them in close combat. He motioned for Ino and Sai to recover while he fought 2 Otonin. Recalling past encounters with Otonin, Naruto knew they were skilled, but not nearly as formidable as the Sound Nin or Kimimaro, who still haunted his memories. He threw a flurry of punches, landing several hits while dodging the attacks of 2 Nin. Fortunately, he noticed some white-inked beasts attacking the Otonin, allowing him to glance at his fellow team members. Sai looked at him with a steely gaze as he continued to battle the Otonin. Naruto didn't understand why Sai was looking at him that way, but he pushed the thought aside for now. He turned his head to see Temari had taken down her opponent from the Sound Village. She nodded at Naruto and moved toward him. Together, they unleashed their wind-style jutsus, sending the remaining enemy crashing to the ground. Naruto smiled, pleasantly surprised at how well their combat styles complemented each other. He took a moment to catch his breath and glanced over at Hinata and Kankuro. A wave of relief washed over him when he saw that they were mostly unharmed and had defeated their foes. Turning back, Naruto noticed the last Otonin still conscious, attempting to crawl away. He stepped on the shinobi to stop him and decided to interrogate him. "Where is your hideout?" The Otonin winced. "I'm not telling you anything." Naruto's frustration grew, and he shifted more weight onto his leg, causing the enemy to cry out in pain. "Where?" "Orochimaru's hideout." The foe growled before reluctantly answering. "Down the road from the bridge, there's an entrance to a cavern. The tunnel leads to the hideout." "Is the Uchiha there as well?" "Tell me." Another growl. "I don't know. I'm not there often." Realizing he wouldn't get any more information, Naruto knocked the shinobi out cold. He turned back to his team. "Are you all alright? Is anyone injured?" Shaking heads greeted him. "Just a few bruises, but nothing serious," Hinata replied. Sai shot a cold glance at Naruto. "What did he say?" "He told me how to find Orochimaru's hideout. I'm not sure if Sasuke is still there, but I'm confident we'll track down the one who attacked Enko." Sai glared at Naruto, and the tension between them was palpable. Ino cast nervous glances between the two. "What's the matter, Sai? Do you have something to say?" Sai sniffed. "I do. We nearly got killed and you weren't here." Naruto remained calm. "I returned with backup. 7 Otonin were attacking us. We would have had much more trouble without Temari and Kankuro." "That doesn't matter. As the squad leader, you were absent when your team needed you most. That should be unforgivable." "I laid out my plan, and everyone agreed. We all understood the risks, but we should be grateful that no one is seriously hurt. So what's your problem?" Sai hissed. "You're being irresponsible, endangering your comrades' lives." Before Naruto could respond, Temari stepped in, placing herself between the two. "I don't know you, but I know Naruto well. He would never intentionally put his teammates in danger. He came to us to ensure everyone's safety, and he didn't waste time in Suna. He insisted on leaving for this mission immediately. There's no reason to insult him, so step back." Both Sai and Naruto stared at her in surprise. Temari turned to Naruto and smiled, and he returned the gesture, grateful for her support in the argument. Naruto surveyed his team. He wanted to move on and infiltrate the hideout but didn't want to pressure them, especially after the heated discussion. "So, what do you think? Are you ready to continue, or do you need some rest? We don't have to rush." The shinobi exchanged glances, and slowly everyone shook their heads. Naruto nodded. "Alright, we'll get this done, don't worry. No one here will get hurt. I'll take care of that." He turned and headed toward the Tenshikyo Bridge, his comrades following him, mentally preparing for a possible confrontation with Sasuke. So, Temari, how's life been in Suna? We haven't talked in almost 2 years. Sandy. But pretty calm. No attacks or anything. Naruto led the group toward the Tenshikyo Bridge, still processing the argument he had with Sai right after the attack. He understood Sai's doubts and the criticisms were valid, but Naruto believed he had made the right choice. Without Temari and Kankuro, they wouldn't have defeated the hostile ninja. Ultimately, the safety of his teammates was what mattered most to him. Naruto. He wouldn't admit it, but he felt a twinge of fear about facing Orochimaru. It wasn't fear of his strength, but rather the memory of the third Hokage's death at the hands of the Snake Lord. At just 13, Naruto felt a deep-seated hatred. This feeling intensified after Sasuke left to join Orochimaru. Naruto. Sasuke. Every time Naruto thought of him, memories of the Forest of Death flooded his mind the moment Sasuke was marked by Orochimaru, their battle at the Valley of the End, and the clash of Naruto's Vermilion Rasengan against Sasuke's Lament Chidori, which sealed Naruto's defeat. It was then that he vowed to become stronger and control the Kyuubi to bring Sasuke back. Naruto. Startled, Naruto turned to his team. Ino, Temari, and Hinata looked at him with concern, while Kankuro maintained a neutral expression, and Sai showed no emotion. What? What's wrong? What are you thinking about? Ino asked gently. Naruto blinked, realizing he had been lost in thought and hadn't noticed his friends calling for him. He shook his head. It's nothing. Turning back, he continued walking, not wanting to discuss his personal struggles. After a while, they reached the bridge and crossed it, finally arriving at the cavern entrance. They decided to rest before storming the place, waiting for nightfall to ensure they were at full strength before confronting Orochimaru and his nin. Naruto sat on a tree, waiting for the sun to set. He couldn't shake off the words exchanged during the confrontation with Sai. The insult stung, and while he understood their validity, it hurt to see how his teammate viewed him, especially since he had only known Sai for a short time. Another worry nagged at him. What if Sai had said something to Ino during Naruto's absence? He feared that Sai might have tried to sow doubt in her mind about him and his decisions. He couldn't help but feel a twinge of jealousy. Hey, Naruto. Naruto flinched and turned to see Ino, who had just climbed up the tree. How are you? Naruto attempted a smile, but Ino noticed it was one of those forced smiles he had given before entering the ninja academy. Concern etched on her face. She sat between his legs, inviting him to embrace her. That simple gesture turned his sad smile into a genuine one. What are you thinking about? Nothing. Don't do this. We're a couple, Naruto. Talk to me. Naruto hesitated. It's just that I really was foolish to leave you alone. Sai was right. He couldn't finish his sentence as Ino turned around and kissed him softly, silencing him. Startled at first, Naruto quickly melted into the kiss, and what began as a gentle peck turned into a heartfelt moment of affection. Both of them had missed this connection and were grateful to express their love once more. Now listen. I don't want you to listen to Sai. You are a great leader. Trust me, it was the best decision. Naruto smiled. By the way, did Sai say anything about the Suna trip? Ino looked down. He said nothing. Are you sure? Ino met Naruto's gaze directly. I just want to spend time with you, so please. Hold me. Naruto pulled her closer, holding her tightly. She rested her head on his chest, feeling his warmth. All right, let's get going. Naruto nodded at his group, who responded in agreement. It was already night as they entered the cavern. They walked through a long, narrow tunnel. After what felt like endless minutes of silence, they reached a giant metal door. Curiosity piqued, Naruto opened it without hesitation, and they were all taken aback by what lay beyond. They stood in a vast room filled with snake statues, definitely Orochimaru's hideout. Naruto gestured for his group to follow him as they moved through the eerie space. Surprisingly, there was no one there, not even a single Otonin. It seemed the hideout was abandoned, but Naruto wasn't fooled. He sensed that Orochimaru had something planned, The hideout was too easy to find. A feeling of unease settled in his stomach. There had to be something that would prevent them from moving forward. Naruto scanned the large room, noting the many doors leading to different levels. It would be impossible to locate Orochimaru without knowing which way to go. He wanted to suggest splitting up, but it was already too late. A massive explosion erupted nearby. Fortunately, they all managed to dodge the blast, but they were still in danger. As they struggled to regain their footing, another explosion rumbled above, causing debris to rain down. The squad had to split into two groups to avoid the falling rocks. Naruto and Temari jumped in one direction while the others went another way. Once back on his feet, Naruto helped Temari up. Just as he was about to call out for their friends, a familiar voice echoed through the chaos. "What do we have here, Sasuke? Are those your beloved Konohanin?" Naruto looked up to see the two people he had hoped to confront during this mission, Orochimaru and Sasuke. Sasuke had changed. He had grown taller, donned white robes, and wore the familiar purple Odo belt. A large sword rested on his back, and he appeared stronger than ever. "Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto glared at Sasuke. The moment had come, but he had imagined their first meeting after 3 years would be different. Still, he felt confident he could defeat Sasuke today. "Sasuke." Sasuke regarded Naruto with an emotionless expression. Gradually, the rest of their group noticed the two criminals standing on the roof above them. "Sasuke," Ino whispered. But Sasuke didn't hear her. He was focused solely on Naruto, who was equally fixated on him. Even after all this time, they understood each other's thoughts. "This time, you won't escape, Sasuke." Sasuke hissed. "I don't want to. My intention is to end you here and today." Orochimaru glanced at Sasuke. "He'll pursue you. I'll handle the rest." Sasuke didn't respond but dashed toward an exit. Naruto growled and chased after him. His mind was a whirlwind, but the only thing that mattered was defeating Sasuke once and for all. "Naruto, no!" Temari shouted. But Naruto didn't respond. Frustrated, Temari turned to the others. "I'll go after him. You take care of Orochimaru." With that, she sprinted off to follow Orochimaru. All Naruto did was run. He dodged the fireballs launched by Sasuke, feeling anger rise within him as he sensed the Kyuubi's chakra trying to take control. He calmed himself, suppressing the chakra. Acting recklessly wouldn't help. He needed to confront Sasuke with a clear mind. Just like Itachi, Sasuke was a formidable opponent, and attacking without a plan would only lead to disaster. As he dodged, Naruto noticed that Sasuke was running in circles, recognizing that many of the rooms they passed were the same. Sasuke was toying with him. He had to end this game and regain control of the situation. Naruto summoned a clone and created a Rasengan, blasting it at the ceiling above Sasuke. The Rasengan tore through the structure, allowing light to flood the area. With the opening created, Sasuke leaped to the surface, followed closely by Naruto. Once they reached the surface, both stood at the edge of the giant hole, locking eyes. They both knew this was it. The battle was about to begin. "Why have you come here, Naruto? Don't you have a criminal to catch?" Sasuke taunted. Naruto flinched. The main objective of his mission was to find the shinobi who attacked Enko and took her mark. However, he hoped to extract information from Sasuke, suspecting that the attacker might be an Uchiha. His gaze fell on Sasuke's neck, where the mark had been altered and now spread across his right arm. His suspicions were confirmed. The attacker needed Enko's mark. And now you have it. Sasuke smirked. "What do you mean, Dobe? Don't play dumb. The attacker has ties to the Uchiha. He gave you the mark to enhance your power." "And even if that's true?" Naruto growled. "Then I'll take you down and get the information I need." Sasuke laughed. "You can try, idiot. But this will be your end. I've faced worse than death." Tension filled the air as the former friends glared at each other, ready to charge and attack. They were both poised, waiting for even the slightest movement. Sasuke drew his sword while Naruto pulled out a kunai. With that, both shinobi launched their first attacks at each other. As their weapons clashed, a flurry of strikes flew between them. Sasuke aimed to cut Naruto with his sword, but Naruto parried each attack. The sound of metal clashing echoed around them, accompanied only by their heavy breathing. It was a high-level battle. Both were pouring their energy into close combat, dodging and countering with everything they had. The intensity was already surpassing their previous encounter at the Valley of the End 3 years ago. Naruto noticed Sasuke's speed and realized he couldn't break through his defense with mere close combat. He summoned 3 shadow clones to increase both the frequency and intensity of his attacks. With each new attempt, Naruto varied his strategies, making it difficult for Sasuke to predict his moves. It worked. Sasuke began to pant heavily, slowing down with each successive attack. Sensing this, Naruto ramped up his pace, unleashing a barrage of punches and kicks that Sasuke struggled to evade. At one point, a kick landed squarely in Sasuke's stomach, sending him flying several meters away. Both shinobi took a moment to catch their breath. It had been an exhausting exchange of blows, each of them expending energy to dodge the other's attacks. "You've improved, Dobe," Sasuke admitted. Naruto stiffened. "Told you, idiot." Suddenly, Sasuke's expression changed to a sinister grin. "But now, playtime is over. It's time to take this fight to another level." He began to tremble violently, and Naruto understood why. The modified cursed mark on Sasuke's neck began to pulse and glow with a purple light. Soon, his entire body was enveloped in the glow, and he began to transform. It was reminiscent of their battle at the Valley of the End, but much more radical. Instead of 2 wings, 4 wings erupted from his back, tearing his white kimono apart. Sasuke's skin darkened to a deep gray, and a large scar formed across his face, resembling a giant cross. His Sharingan eyes glowed a more intense red, and his teeth sharpened as claws extended from his hands and feet, each 3 inches long. The 4 wings caused him to bend under their weight, transforming him into a fearsome creature, far more monstrous than before. "This is my true form, Uzumaki. With Enko's cursed mark, I have become stronger than ever." Naruto shuddered. It was horrifying to see his former comrade, rival, and friend in such a state. It pained him to witness Sasuke willingly embrace this monstrous transformation. He closed his eyes, knowing he had no choice but to reveal his true power. Engulfed in golden flames, Naruto felt the energy surge through him. This was what he had trained for. Even if he couldn't maintain this form for long, he was confident it would be enough to defeat Sasuke. When the flames subsided, Sasuke's eyes widened in shock. Naruto stood before him, unchanged in stance but clad in a golden material that radiated power. Unlike his previous Kyuubi form, this appearance was more refined, adorned with black symbols and patterns. A bright golden aura surrounded him. Naruto knew he had succeeded. He had awakened the young Nine-Tails chakra mode. Sasuke growled, "What is this nonsense?" Naruto looked up, determination in his eyes. "This is the result of my relentless training since you left, and I'm going to prove that it's enough to finish you off." Sasuke growled again and soared into the air, preparing to dive down at Naruto. Naruto dodged the attack and quickly positioned himself behind Sasuke, grabbing him and sending him crashing down onto the floor. The impact echoed loudly, leaving a noticeable crack in the surface. Without giving Sasuke a moment to recover, Naruto leaped onto him and began delivering a flurry of punches, eliciting cries from Sasuke as he endured the blows. Eventually, Sasuke managed to push Naruto away and retaliated with swift strikes. The two engaged in close combat once more, their movements filled with intensity. Each punch they exchanged seemed to shake the very ground beneath them. Sasuke growled, stepping back to elevate the fight. "I've had enough of this." Turi, sword shape. Lightning crackled in both of Sasuke's hands, forming 2 long swords poised to strike. However, Naruto remained unfazed. With a fierce determination, Sasuke charged at Naruto, aiming to land a decisive blow. But Naruto swiftly used his flash jutsu to evade, creating a game of cat and mouse. What Sasuke perceived as cowardice was actually Naruto's strategic maneuvering, waiting for the perfect moment to counterattack. That moment came when Sasuke left himself open. Naruto formed a Rasengan, enhanced by 3 smaller Rasengans swirling around it, and struck Sasuke directly in the gut. The force of the attack sent Sasuke flying, leaving him heavily injured. Had it not been for his transformation, the impact could have been fatal. Meanwhile, Naruto, breathing heavily, watched Sasuke with concern. The jutsu had drained him significantly, and he could feel his chakra mode fading. Sasuke grinned as he rose to his feet. "This will be my final jutsu, Naruto Uzumaki. And it will finish you." He raised his hand to the sky, summoning a lightning bolt that he controlled with precision. A colossal lightning beast emerged from the clouds, roaring at Naruto. Sasuke smiled, believing this would be the end for his rival. Naruto gazed at the formidable creature in awe, realizing the danger it posed. Yet he refused to back down. A smile crossed his face as he thought of the beautiful girl waiting for him. Determined, Naruto began to form another Rasengan, but this time he infused it with red chakra, merging the fierce energy of the Kyuubi with his own. The result was a swirling red and blue Rasengan, radiating power. Naruto and Sasuke locked eyes, understanding that this would be the decisive moment. One would emerge victorious, while the other would face a devastating loss. With shared resolve, they launched their attacks. Sasuke directed his hand toward Naruto, unleashing the lightning beast, while Naruto propelled himself toward the roaring creature. In that moment, the sounds of their fierce battle echoed, two boys clashing with powers that rivaled the divine. Sasuke felt a powerful kick in his stomach, causing him to stumble back. He growled, struggling to regain his footing after exhausting all his energy in the fight against Naruto. As he slowly stood up, he was confronted by Ino Yamanaka, the long-haired blonde. He chuckled, "So, the flower banshee is protecting Naruto, huh? I can't believe you could actually hurt your crush." Ino remained silent, her expression unreadable, which wiped the grin off Sasuke's face. "Come on, Blondie. Don't tell me it didn't hurt you to kick your crush. You are not my crush, Uchiha. I am not 13 anymore." Sasuke raised an eyebrow. "So I don't have a place in your heart anymore, just like I did back in the academy?" Ino glared at him. "That ended years ago." "When I left the village?" he asked, his curiosity piqued. Ino motioned towards Naruto. "It was when he entered the classroom for the first time." Sasuke stared at her in disbelief, then burst into laughter. "You're telling me you feel more for this dope than for me? What a joke, Yamanaka. Do you want another kick in the stomach or something worse?" Ino shot back. Sasuke's laughter faded, replaced by a fierce glare. "You dare threaten me? I could easily take you down, so keep your distance, traitor." Sasuke growled and advanced towards Ino, pointing his sword at her. "Call me traitor one more time and you'll regret it." Before he could make a move, a strong wind suddenly swept through, forcing him to retreat. "You won't hurt them, traitor," Temari said as she appeared beside Ino, ready to defend Naruto. Before Sasuke could retaliate, Naruto's squad emerged from the hole in the ground. Sai, Hinata, and Kankuro. Sasuke gritted his teeth, realizing he couldn't take on 5 shinobi in his current state. Just then, another figure appeared beside him. "Stay calm. We won't fight," the masked ninja said. Sasuke's eyes widened in recognition. "You?" Ino glanced at the masked ninja, recalling him as the one who had attacked Anko and stolen her cursed mark, a shinobi with ties to both the Uchiha and Senju clans. "It's time for us to retreat. We need to regroup," the masked ninja urged. Sasuke protested, "But I'm so close to finishing this. Just help me and—" "Sasuke, you'll die if you keep fighting. We must retreat." Sasuke frowned but turned back. The masked ninja looked at the nearly unconscious Naruto. "We will meet again, Nine Tails." As the Sharingan of the masked ninja began to pulse, Sasuke and the masked ninja vanished in a spiral of nothingness, likely using a teleportation technique. However, the shinobi present had forgotten about one crucial detail. Before Ino could react, an explosive kunai flew towards the escaping ninja. The masked ninja swiftly redirected the kunai with a jutsu, sending it back toward Naruto's squad. "Kankuro, quick!" Ino shouted. Kankuro acted fast, using his puppets to launch fireballs at the kunai, ensuring it exploded at a safe distance. Once the smoke cleared, Sasuke and the masked ninja were gone. Kankuro and Sai rushed ahead to scout the area, while Ino, Temari, and Hinata returned to Naruto's side. Ino knelt beside him, cradling his upper body. "Naruto, are you all right?" Naruto slowly opened his eyes, meeting the gaze of his beautiful girlfriend Ino, who smiled warmly at him. "Did I get him?" he asked weakly. "They got away, but we're all fine," Ino reassured him. Naruto nodded, closing his eyes again but continuing to speak. "Ino, my arm." Ino's heart sank as she looked at Naruto's right arm, which was badly injured and bleeding. He needs medical help. We have to do something." She glanced helplessly at her teammates. They were far from Konoha and didn't have much time. As she contemplated their next move, she felt a gentle grip on her wrist. Naruto had used his remaining strength to hold on to her. The others? Quickly. Ino quickly called for her teammates. "Come here." In no time, the entire team surrounded Naruto, holding hands. A brilliant flash of yellow lightning enveloped them. When Ino opened her eyes, she couldn't believe where they were. The entire group stood in front of Konoha's gate. Still holding on to Naruto, she wasted no time. "Help me! Sai, Kankuro!" The two boys rushed to assist her, carrying Naruto to the gate, where the guards looked on in surprise. "Halt! What is? Miss Yamanaka? Naruto? We need help. Medical aid quickly," Ino urged. Soon, two paramedics arrived, lifting Naruto onto a stretcher and rushing him to the hospital. Ino followed closely, determined to stay by his side. As Naruto drifted into unconsciousness, he could faintly hear Ino's comforting voice. Eventually, Naruto woke up, slowly opening his eyes. It took him a moment to recognize the familiar surroundings of Konoha's hospital. He felt numb but could move his head. Turning to the right, he saw the buildings of the Hidden Leaf Village, realizing his jutsu had worked. To his left, he noticed Ino lying beside him, snuggled against his chest, a peaceful smile on her face. He gently brushed a strand of hair away from her face, noticing his own right arm was heavily bandaged. He chuckled softly, realizing the crimson Rasengan burst he had used had nearly destroyed his arm. He would need more training and to be cautious in the future. He returned his hand to Ino's hair, stroking it softly. Ino smiled in her sleep, moving closer to him. Naruto felt a warmth spread through him. He was grateful to have Ino by his side. He laid his head back down, gazing at the ceiling, wanting to rest before waking up again. Ino slowly opened her eyes, taking a moment to recognize her surroundings. The warmth beside her was comforting, reminding her of the bond they shared. She moved her head and gazed into the eyes of her wonderful boyfriend, Naruto. He was looking at her with warmth, gently stroking her hair. Ino smiled and nestled back against his chest. "How are you, Ino?" he asked. Ino smiled brightly. "I'm all right. How is your arm, Naru?" Naruto chuckled softly. Ino lifted her head to meet his gaze. "What? Naru," he teased. Ino pouted playfully. "Leave me alone. It's a cute nickname." Naruto giggled and pressed a gentle kiss to Ino's forehead. "I love you, Ino." Ino smiled and leaned in to give Naruto a quick kiss on the lips, which blossomed into a sweet and tender moment between them. "You don't know how much I love you too, Naruto," she whispered. They eventually broke apart, and Ino rested her head back on his chest, cherishing the peaceful moment together before they had to return to their duties as ninjas. Naruto and Sasuke stood facing each other, their gazes locking onto the forms of 8-year-old boys, reminiscent of their academy days. Naruto looked at Sasuke, his lips moving as he seemed to convey an important message. "Sasuke, Itachi said that I should tell you something when I met you." Naruto's voice faded into a whisper, and Sasuke's eyes widened in disbelief. It couldn't be. Itachi could not. Before Sasuke could finish his thought, a brilliant light erupted, enveloping the boys. In an instant, Sasuke and the masked ninja found themselves in one of Sasuke's usual hideouts. Still feeling the fatigue from his intense battle with Naruto, Sasuke collapsed onto the bed, contemplating Itachi's message. What was his brother's plan? "You have to be careful, Sasuke," Sasuke glanced up at the masked shinobi, a surge of anger coursing through him. You could have helped me defeat Naruto, but instead, you made me retreat. It's your fault he's still alive. Sasuke couldn't finish his sentence. The masked ninja tightened his grip around Sasuke's neck, causing him to struggle for breath. Do not doubt me. I won't allow you to jeopardize our operation for the greater good. The shinobi released Sasuke, who gasped for air. Besides, we can't eliminate the Nine Tails yet. We need him. If we break him, our chances of achieving our goal will increase. Sasuke hissed in frustration. What goal? What operation? Just tell me what's going on. The masked shinobi observed Sasuke's fury and sighed. He needed to reveal the truth to prevent Sasuke from leaving the hideout and taking matters into his own hands. Slowly, the masked shinobi removed his mask, revealing a face covered in intricate tattoos and scars. Sasuke flinched at the sight. The shinobi had black hair with white strands, one eye displaying the Sharingan while the other was a pale blue. The tattoos extended across his entire body. Sasuke growled, "Who are you?" A shinobi with a Sharingan and Senju markings. It couldn't be. Sasuke, I am the Fire Sage. My bloodline combines the Uchiha and Senju clans. I am Rikuro Uchiha. Sasuke flinched again. Rikuro Uchiha. The Fire Sage. The one with the powers of both Konoha clans. To think he was working against Konoha. Rikuro continued to gaze at Sasuke. Do you know anything about the Fire Sage, Sasuke? Some things. It was said that the Fire Sage sought to unite the various branches of the clans in Konoha. Exactly. That is my ultimate goal. And soon it will be yours. Sasuke growled. What do you mean, my goal? Why would I help you? Rikuro remained calm. I know you will help me because you have no other choice. You are pursued by many villages. It all depends on what your true goal is. You know what my goal is, Rikuro. Rikuro nodded. If you assist me, I will help you get Itachi. I will lend you all the power I can spare. Sasuke pondered this. If Rikuro was truly the Fire Sage, he could help Sasuke achieve his goal of avenging himself against Itachi. But doubts lingered. If Rikuro was genuinely trying to unite the village, it could be a perfect opportunity for change. This was, next to killing Itachi, Sasuke's second goal. Sasuke nodded. All right, I'll help you. Rikuro smiled. Good. Now get some rest. I will prepare our next steps and gather supplies. It's crucial that you regain your strength. Sasuke nodded, and Rikuro left the room to complete his preparations for their upcoming missions. Rikuro exited the hideout and entered a vast cave, where a giant stone statue resembling the Great Gedo statue loomed. He approached the statue, where a figure sat on a large throne. The figure was an elderly man with long white hair and a weathered face, dressed in a white kimono that concealed his frail body. He will help us, Master Madara. The man growled. I told you, Rikuro. We are equals. Address me as such. Rikuro hesitated and nodded slowly. He'll help us, Madara. I convinced him. Good. Well done, Rikuro, Madara said, leaning back to rest. Rikuro fell silent, needing to inform Madara about Naruto. He was too much of a threat to ignore. I encountered the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, Madara. Even with his head bowed, Rikuro could feel Madara's piercing gaze. How far along is he? He has already awakened the Yang Chakra mode, although he can only maintain that form for a short time. Madara nodded. We have no time to waste. We must initiate the next step of our operation immediately. What do you need, Madara? Madara contemplated their next moves carefully. Any misstep could jeopardize their entire plan. Obito. Another figure emerged from the shadows. Rikuro looked up. Obito was Madara's right hand, managing the practical aspects of their operations. Rikuro recalled how Madara had brought Obito to the hideout as a child, small, weak, and partially disabled from a failed operation. Madara had trained Obito, teaching him the power of Zetsu and how to control it. Obito had become one of Akatsuki's most valuable members. Yes, my lord. We have no time left. Execute the next step of our plan. Assemble all members of Akatsuki and hunt down the remaining Jinchuriki. We need those bijou, and we need them quickly. Obito bowed. Yes, my lord. I will return soon with results. Madara nodded, and Obito departed the cave. Rikuro turned back to Madara. Should I join the hunt as well, or should I hinder the Ninetales' activities? If what you're saying is true, it won't be long until he uncovers the secrets of his heritage. We need to stop him. Rikuro nodded. An attack on Konoha, I assume? Yes. But you will not be the one to attack the village. We will wait until he leaves, and then someone powerful, someone godlike will carry out the assault. Rikuro nodded again. Do you prefer an Akatsuki member for this? Madara considered for a moment before responding. Perhaps you could discuss this with Nagato. His powerful jutsus of destruction would be perfect for this mission. Rikuro remained silent. There was no doubt that Nagato and his 6 paths of pain were formidable. However, Rikuro harbored a concern that one day, Nagato could be exposed and ultimately defeated by the Ninetales. Still, he was determined to follow the will of his master. I will meet with Nagato soon. Should I do about Sasuke? Rikuro inquired. Bring him along and prepare him for Itachi. His demise will spark the flames of hatred and vengeance within him, came the response. Rikuro nodded, excusing himself but not before catching Madara's final words from their meeting. Rikuro, this step is crucial, and we cannot afford any mistakes. We must succeed. I have faith in you. Rikuro met Madara's gaze, fully aware of the weight of his responsibilities as the Fire Sage. To realize their shared ambitions, he was willing to do whatever it took. Their fates were intertwined, and Rikuro was resolute in his determination. He would achieve his goal. He would not fail. Naruto stepped out of the hospital. After 3 days, he was finally released. He couldn't stand the sterile smell of medicine and medical tools any longer. Despite having friends like Sakura and Tsunade visiting him, he was not the type to enjoy his stay in the hospital. As he walked through the streets of the city, it felt like he had been away for an eternity. He made a mental note to avoid getting into trouble that would land him back in a hospital bed. Now that he was free, he could spend time with his friends and do much more than just sit and talk. In a cheerful mood, he decided to visit Ino. A plan was forming in his mind. He arrived at the Yamanaka flower shop and entered. Noticing that no one was at the counter, he wandered around the shop, admiring the beautiful flowers. He spotted some lovely white flowers that reminded him of Ino. With her purple outfit and blonde hair, those flowers would suit her perfectly. He picked up the flowers and approached the counter just as Ino's mother, Yuka, came in from the back. She was delighted to see Naruto, Ino's beloved boyfriend. Naruto dear, it's so good to see you, she exclaimed, and he smiled back at her. It's great to be back, Miss Yamanaka, he replied. Please, call me Yuka. Who are those flowers for? She asked teasingly. Ah, I believe they are for a certain blonde Yamanaka working here. Would you mind calling her down for a chat? Naruto asked as he paid for the flowers. Yuka giggled. Charming, dear. I'll get her. Yuka went upstairs to fetch Ino while Naruto waited. Moments later, he heard her light footsteps and quickly hid behind the counter. As Ino searched the shop for this secret customer, he surprised her with a hug from behind, which made her giggle with delight. Naruto smiled and presented the white flowers, causing her to gasp in happiness. Are those for me? She asked. Of course. I wouldn't buy flowers for anyone else, he chuckled. Ino took the flowers and turned to give him a sweet kiss. Thank you, Naruto. He smiled back. And look, this flower, he said, gently placing one behind her ear, will perfectly match your outfit for tonight. Ino tilted her head in confusion. Tonight? What's happening tonight? Naruto placed a kiss on her forehead. Tonight, I'm taking you out for a wonderful dinner at one of the finest restaurants in Konoha. Ino blushed slightly and smirked. Are you asking me on a date, you bold one? They separated, and Naruto headed for the door. Maybe. I'll pick you up at 8, all right? He blew her a kiss as he left, leaving a blushing Ino admiring the beautiful flowers in her hands. Later, Naruto checked his clock. It was 7:58 p.m. He was on time, which was a rare occurrence for him. He walked around the flower shop and up the stairs leading to another entrance of the Yamanaka house. Just as the clock struck 8, he knocked on the door, eager to surprise Ino with his punctuality. He adjusted his outfit, a cozy yet elegant black suit with a white shirt underneath, borrowed from Kakashi. He felt confident and couldn't wait to see his beautiful girlfriend. When Ino opened the door, he was momentarily speechless. Ino stood there with her gorgeous blonde hair perfectly styled. She wore a shoulderless purple dress adorned with glitter and white heels. Just as he had imagined, she had the white rose he gave her earlier in her hair. Naruto was stunned. He thought he looked good, but she took beauty to another level. Ino blushed as she noticed him staring. "Is something wrong?" she asked, thinking she might have worn something inappropriate. "Wow, you look absolutely amazing," he finally managed to say. She smiled at the compliment, her cheeks still flushed. "Thank you. But you're handsome too." Naruto chuckled and offered his arm. "Shall we, Miss Yamanaka?" Ino giggled and took his arm. "Absolutely, Mr. Uzumaki." After a delightful evening filled with laughter and a wonderful dinner, they strolled around Konoha, hand in hand, enjoying the peaceful night. It was around 11 p.m., and most of the lights were off, allowing the stars to shine brightly in the sky. "You know, I had a beautiful evening, Naruto." "Thank you very much," Ino said, her eyes sparkling. "It was my pleasure, madam. I would do anything for my queen," Naruto replied, his tone sincere. Ino froze, surprised by his gentle words. "I'm sorry, what did you say?" "You heard me right. Come on, let's make some tea at my place. I want to give you something," he said with a grin. Ino, intrigued, followed him to his apartment. Once inside, he motioned for her to sit on the couch while he prepared the tea. After a few minutes, he returned with tea and biscuits, sitting down next to her. As they enjoyed each other's company and chatted about light topics, Naruto decided it was time to present her gift. "Look, Ino. I got this for you a while ago," he said, reaching behind the couch to retrieve a rectangular box. Ino gasped as he handed it to her. She opened it, her eyes widening in surprise. Inside was a stunning silver necklace adorned with various gemstones. Among them were diamonds, emeralds, rubies, and sapphires, but what caught her attention was a large, purple stone in the center. "This is beautiful," she exclaimed, her heart racing with joy. Naruto smiled and took the necklace. "Here, let me put it on you." He gently placed the necklace around her neck while she held her hair back, ensuring it wouldn't get in the way. But he couldn't hold himself together when he caught a whiff of the familiar perfume. He gently stroked her hair and then began to massage her back and neck, eliciting soft sighs from her. It was so easy to set the mood. Ino slowly turned around and locked eyes with Naruto before pulling him into a deep kiss. Naruto wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her closer. He had missed this, even if it had only been 3 days. Their passionate kiss turned into a playful makeout session, and soon Ino found herself sinking into the couch with Naruto leaning over her. They both smiled, lost in the moment, until Ino broke the kiss. Naruto looked at her, puzzled, but she simply smirked. If she was with him, she wanted to make the most of their time together. Ino grinned. "Why don't we continue this in a more private room?" Naruto blushed and returned her smirk. She knew how to get to him, but he had his own playful response. "Sure. Ichiraku's is always private. Nobody will disturb us there." This earned him a playful nudge on his chest. Naruto tried to protest, but laughter escaped him instead. Once he composed himself, he smiled at Ino and leaned in for another kiss. "But I'll be happy to treat you like the beautiful queen you are." Ino turned bright red, surprised by his boldness. My, you are quite daring, Blondie," she teased. Then she gasped as Naruto stood up and swept her off her feet in a bridal carry. "I prefer to think of it as charming, or perhaps a bit stuck," he replied with a playful grin. Ino smirked and kissed him again as he carried her into the bedroom and gently placed her on the bed. Before she knew it, Naruto's lips were on hers once more, this time with a fierce intensity. She smiled. He wanted her, and she wanted him just as much. The loving couple shared their first night together, A beautiful and enchanting evening where they finally embraced the feelings they had secretly harbored since Naruto returned to the village. It was a moment that every couple of 17-year-olds dreams of, filled with the excitement of young love. Flowery Fox, a NaruIno Fanfiction, a romantic night. Light tickled Ino's eyes, signaling that it was already morning. She slowly opened her eyes, wondering where the light came from. Normally, her blinds were closed at night. When Ino managed to fully wake and analyze her surroundings, she smiled. She was in Naruto's bedroom, lying in his bed. The memories of the previous night flooded back to her, a beautiful evening spent with Naruto. She smirked, recalling how charming and surprising he had been. Suddenly, Ino felt a gentle grip around her waist. Looking up, she smiled at Naruto, who lay peacefully next to her. Ino gently stroked his face, earning a few sleepy giggles from him. Her heart swelled with happiness. She was so grateful to have someone like Naruto by her side. Ino carefully freed herself from Naruto's embrace and crawled on top of him, planting a soft kiss on his lips to wake him up. Naruto, still drowsy, felt the warmth of her lips and instinctively returned the kiss, pulling her closer. "Morning, my beauty," he murmured. Ino giggled. "Morning, sleepyhead. How do you feel?" With his eyes still closed, Naruto pulled Ino closer. "I feel great when you wake me up with a lovely kiss." Ino laughed. "I just know you too well." Naruto stroked her back and hair. "And I love you for that." "I love you too, babe." But, she traced her fingers along his chest, eliciting soft sounds of delight from him. "Will you show me your love?" Naruto opened his eyes and met her playful gaze. "Are you asking for round two, my little queen?" Ino smirked and crawled back on top of him, kissing him again. "Honestly, I haven't had enough from last night." They both fell back onto the bed, panting and smiling brightly at each other. Though their playful moment wasn't as stunning as the night before, they still enjoyed it. Naruto wrapped his arms around Ino, hugging her tightly. "I love you, Ino." Ino blushed and smiled. "I love you too, No. But we should get up and have breakfast." Naruto nodded and got out of bed, offering Ino her clothes, which she gratefully accepted before shooing him out of the bedroom to dress. He laughed and left, heading to the kitchen to surprise her with a quality breakfast. He began cooking bacon and toasting bread. After a few minutes, Ino entered the kitchen and hugged him from behind. "You know what I love about you? You can cook." Naruto pretended to pout. "Oh, come on. Is that all you like about me? I feel insulted." Ino chuckled. "I'm sorry, baby. I can make it up to you tonight if you'd like." Naruto grinned, turned around, and kissed her before returning to the bacon. They enjoyed a comfortable silence while eating, sharing jokes and laughter about various happenings in the village. After finishing, they got ready for the day. Naruto had a plan. "Why don't we head to the shopping center? We could do a bit of shopping and then catch a movie." Ino giggled. "You and shopping? Where did that come from?" Naruto smiled and kissed her. "Maybe I want to have a good time with my beautiful girlfriend." Ino returned the kiss. "We can take Hinata and the others with us." They agreed on the plan and headed to the shopping center. "That dress looks so nice, Ino," Sakura exclaimed. "It is really beautiful. And it's not purple," Temari laughed. Ino pouted. "What's wrong with purple, you little snitch?" The girls laughed while the boys sat nearby Naruto, Shikamaru, Sai, and Choji. "Man, this is such a drag," Shikamaru complained. "Tell me about it. I'm super hungry," Choji added. Sai smiled. "But it's really relaxing, isn't it? Watching the girls have fun." Naruto didn't pay attention to their conversation. His gaze was fixed on something else. At the other end of the store, a white coat caught his attention. He stood up, walked over, and picked it up. It was a clean white coat with red flames that rose from the bottom. Naruto felt an inexplicable attraction to it. He shrugged and tried it on. The sleeves were ripped away, giving it a cool look. As he admired himself in the mirror, he heard a gasp from behind. Turning around, he saw the cashier, a rather older woman, staring at him. "I'm sorry, but you remind me of someone special in that coat with your blonde hair." Naruto tilted his head, realizing who she meant. "You mean the fourth Hokage?" Yes, my boy. People have told you that you look very similar to him. Naruto considered her words. Many had compared him to the yondaime, and he understood why the same blonde hair and appearance. Now, with the coat and the woman's comment, a thought began to form in his mind. He took off the coat, intending to return it, but the woman shook her head. Keep it. It's a gift for you. Naruto smiled and rushed out of the store, not even glancing at his friends, who stared at him in confusion, especially Ino, who worried about what was happening. Naruto hurried into the Hokage's office, bursting through the door to find Tsunade looking startled. Naruto, what is it? She asked. Tell me the truth. What do you mean? Naruto's frustration grew. You know what I mean, Grandma. My parents. Hiruzen knew, and you, as the Sannin and the fifth Hokage, should know too. Tsunade looked down, silent. Naruto's anger flared. He was tired of people ignoring his questions. I'm only going to ask you one more time. Tell me the truth about my parents. With that, he threw the white coat in front of her. Tsunade's eyes widened. With the evidence before her, she finally relented. She opened the shelf of her desk, retrieved some keys, and handed them to Naruto. Go to Ichiraku's. Show him these keys, and he will give you a box. Naruto entered his apartment and dropped the box on the table. He sat down and stared at it, knowing it held many secrets. Without hesitation, he opened it. Inside, he found numerous books, letters, and a slim package. He carefully opened the package, and tears began to flow down his cheeks. It was a picture. In it were the yondaime Hokage and a beautiful red-haired woman. The yondaime held her close, and both smiled at the camera. What surprised him most was that the woman was P.R.T., clearly far along. Flipping the picture over, he saw a message written on the back. For the beauty of my life. I love you, Kushina. Minato. Naruto turned the picture back around and examined the couple closely. The woman's face seemed familiar, and then he noticed it a hint of whiskers. His whiskers. Overwhelmed, Naruto began to cry. Tears streamed down his face as he placed the picture on the table. His mother was a beautiful red-haired kunoichi, and his father was the legendary yondaime Hokage. And no one had told him for 17 years. He heard a knock on the door but didn't respond. Naruto. Naruto, are you in there? Ino, not waiting for a reply, opened the door since it wasn't locked. She rushed into the living room and halted when she saw Naruto, a complete mess. Naruto looked up at Ino with tear-filled eyes. She approached him slowly and embraced him, which he welcomed, holding her tightly as he cried. Ino noticed the picture of the yondaime Hokage and the red-haired woman on the table. Remembering the white coat, she looked back down at Naruto and kissed the top of his head, offering her compassion. She understood now why he was so upset. Ino held him close, stood up with him, and guided Naruto to the bedroom. Standing in front of the bed, she lifted his chin and smiled gently. She couldn't imagine how painful this was for him, but she wanted to show him that she was there for him. Ino leaned in and kissed him softly, her lips brushing against his cheeks, still wet from his tears. Though Naruto was still crying, he wrapped his arms around her waist and returned the kiss. In that moment, he began to feel a flicker of happiness. With Ino by his side, he felt warmth and love even amidst the pain. He kissed her back passionately and slowly laid down on the bed with her, feeling a sense of comfort in her presence. And with that, Ino kept her promise from earlier that day. Dear Naruto, I don't know under which conditions you will receive this letter, but I am certain it will reach you sooner or later. When you are reading this, it means that I have taken my final breath and my mission in Amige Cure has failed. You might be wondering why I was gone and why I didn't come back. Once in my life, there was another student. He was at first helpless, just like you. I hoped that I could guide him onto the right path, but I failed. This person suffered greatly and lost a friend, someone as close as a brother. That loss broke him. I thought I would never be able to face the insecurities of a young person. Until I met you. You showed me how strong someone could be, even after enduring so much suffering. Losing your parents, being neglected, hated by your best friend and fiercest rival, and unrecognized by the person you loved. It was you who demonstrated that a person can be strong even when they should be broken. You showed me that it is worth fighting for what you believe in because those beliefs shape who you are and who you will remain until the end of your life. You revealed that there are still ways to handle pain and return to the path of life, true life. When I first met you, I never thought you would overcome your pain and become the person you are today. A man filled with grief but also with happiness, trust, and love. I lost my belief in the possibility of change when I lost my former student, but you brought me back to that belief. You motivated me to do everything in my power to help that person return to the path of living, away from pain and the cycle of hatred. I tried my best. But when you read this letter, you will know that I failed. I failed to keep my promise and to uphold my ninja way. And if you are reading this, I regret having failed. There are many things I regret in my life, and I feel remorse for each one. But there is one part of my life that I will never regret, never ever. Your bravery and joy made me reflect. I believe you would be happy to hear that the subject of my next and final book will be a person who suffered and lost everything but came back stronger than anyone could have imagined. And thus, I name this person Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. I regret many things in my life, but I will never regret having met you, and I will never regret having helped shape you into the person you are now. I know I am not your father, but I hope to be someone you could always rely on, a person you could trust with everything that troubled you. It is my final wish that you continue on the path I created for you. Make me proud, no. Make the world proud. Naruto walked through the village toward the Hokage Tower. He had just returned from a B-rank mission where he had to deal with some bandits. It was nothing too hard for him, but ever since he returned to Konoha, he had a nagging feeling. It was a painful night for him. He had just discovered the truth about his parents, something hidden from him for 17 years. Everyone had kept that secret, and learning it shattered his world. Yet, he sensed that this uneasy feeling did not stem solely from the revelation about his parents. It was something else, something he didn't fully understand. Naruto knocked on the door of Tsunade's office, but when no answer came, he opened the door and stepped inside. Tsunade was absent, likely busy with the medical department. He shrugged it off and approached her desk to leave the mission report for her to read. But something else caught his attention. A letter lay in the center of the table, and what bothered Naruto most was that it was addressed to him. He picked it up and saw his name clearly written on it. For Naruto. Even though this letter was in Tsunade's possession, he opened it to see what it was about. Dear Naruto, I don't know under which conditions you will receive this letter, but I am certain it will reach you sooner or later. When you are reading this, it means that I have taken my final breath and my mission in Amigakure has failed. Naruto's entire body froze. His breath slowed and his heart began to race. A mission in Amigakure? Failed? It was you who showed me that a person can be strong even when they should be broken. I tried my best. But when you read this letter, you will know that I failed. The entire letter was about the understanding of humanity from this person. By now, Naruto had subconsciously figured out who wrote it. Make me proud, no. Make the world proud. Be the hero of your own story. Your mentor, your dear friend, your pervy sage, Jiraiya. Naruto fought to hold back his tears. He couldn't think straight. First, the truth about his parents, and now the loss of his friend Jiraiya. He still couldn't grasp the situation, but he didn't want to. It was already painful enough, and he didn't want to increase that pain. Yet, at some point he would have to confront the truth. Just then, the door opened, and he heard footsteps entering the room. He knew exactly who it was. A person stepped forward. Naruto, what are you doing here? It was Sakura. Is everything all right? Shizen asked. Naruto sniffed, sensing their concerned gazes. Tsunade. He could feel Tsunade flinch. It wasn't a good sign when he addressed her as Tsunade instead of Granny. Where is Jiraiya? No answer. Naruto waited, his heart pounding. I don't know. Don't you dare lie to me. Naruto shouted, his anger rising, and the intensity of their stares increased. Where is he? Tsunade hesitated before answering. He went to Amigakure. Personal case. Naruto couldn't hold it any longer. He didn't want to hold it in any longer. Tears streamed down his face as he cried quietly but intensely. Soon he stopped. He wanted to show Tsunade how he truly felt, and crying wouldn't help. You know what's intense? In one night, you discover who your parents really were, their names, their personalities through books, photos, and letters. The entire village refused to talk about them. Nobody mentioned them, not even the people you trusted the most. And then, the next day, you find out that the person who meant the most to you during your painful life is gone forever. Do you know how painful this is, Tsunade? Have you ever felt such pain? Silence filled the room. Sakura, Shizune, and Tsunade looked at Naruto with pity, even though Sakura and Shizune didn't fully understand. But Tsunade did. You knew he was leaving, didn't you? He told me the day before. Naruto hesitated, grappling with the question that had troubled him the most. Then why didn't you stop him? Silence hung in the air. Why hadn't she stopped him? It was a question she couldn't answer, one that would haunt her forever. You knew it was dangerous. Why didn't you stop him? Why did you let him go? I tried. He wouldn't listen. He just gave me this letter and left. Once again, Naruto struggled to hold back his tears. Do you know how I've lived for the past 4 years? Since I met him? I couldn't sleep because I always knew. Every day, every hour, every minute, my enemy could appear and try to kill me. And if they didn't, I always saw them hurting the people I loved: Sasuke, Sakura, Ino, Choji, Shikamaru, Sai, Hinata, Kiba, Shino, Kurenai, Anko, Irika, Kakashi. Every night, I cried myself to sleep so I could wake up the next day with the determination to protect everyone I love. That's what I was taught every single day as a ninja, to stay true to my path. And it hurts. It hurts to see someone you truly cared about leave your life with nothing but a letter. A letter where he tried to explain how he felt he had failed. The person who had the most influence on me. A person who would have died for me, and whom I would have died for. Do you know how painful it is to find out that this person is gone? That you couldn't do anything to prevent it? That life can be joyful one moment and cruel the next? Do you know how I truly feel? Do you understand my suffering? Do you know how it feels to know you can never talk to that person again and that you can't take back your last words? Do you know how painful that is? With that, he turned to face Shizune, Sakura, and Tsunade, who all had tears in their eyes, confirming every word he had spoken. Maybe he was a close friend to you, your Sannin partner, maybe even someone you cared for in the past. But do you know what he was to me? He was a father to me. And you let life take him away. Silence enveloped the room, the mood heavy with sorrow as the women stood there, tearful. He was like a father to me. And now he's gone. Jiraiya is gone. And there was nothing I could do. Before anyone could respond, Naruto turned and jumped out of the window. He fell until his feet touched the ground. With tear-filled eyes, he walked along the street toward his apartment. Once inside, he removed his shoes, jacket, and even his ninja headband. He approached the table and gazed at the picture of his parents. As he looked into the box again, he noticed another package similar to the first. He opened it to find another picture. This time, Minato and Kushina were smiling alongside Jiraiya. He turned the picture over and read the inscription. "I am proud of you, my student. You truly are a powerful shinobi. Jiraiya-san." Naruto dropped everything and went straight to bed, crying himself to sleep once more. Naruto woke up in the middle of the night, 2:23 a.m. to be exact. He still felt deeply affected by the events in Tsunade's office. Slowly, he got up and looked at himself in the mirror. He was a total mess. Entering the kitchen, he opened the fridge and spotted a familiar package. He took it outside and sat down on a bench, tearing it open to reveal ice cream, the same kind Jiraiya would always give him after training. He sniffled, memories flooding back from the 3 years he had spent with Jiraiya. Every training session, every moment their Rasengans clashed, every laugh they shared. And now, he was gone. Naruto felt utterly alone. No one could understand the pain he felt. Knew that no one he knew had suffered the same way, and that hurt him the most. Suddenly, he heard someone calling out to him. Looking up, he saw a figure that resembled Jiraiya, but as the person approached, he recognized his former teacher, Irika. Naruto looked down again as Irika knelt in front of him. "Naruto." Naruto could barely hear him, only the echo of Irika's voice reaching him. He still didn't look up. Irika sighed softly, taking Naruto's melting ice cream and splitting it in two, handing one half to the depressed blonde. Naruto looked up to see Irika smiling at him. As he glanced at the ice cream, his eyes widened. It felt as if Jiraiya were speaking to him again. He could almost hear the pervy sage's voice. There are people who need you. And you need them. Naruto recalled a conversation he had with Jiraiya after one of their training sessions. Tell me, why can't I go and look for Sasuke myself? Jiraiya had chuckled. You can't just leave the village, dummy. There are people who need you. And you need them. Focus on them, not just on Sasuke. The people behind you in Konoha are the ones who truly care about you. You should focus on caring for them. Naruto pouted. But I care for them. Jiraiya smiled. Then show them. Show them that you would do anything for their happiness. Because they trust you. Trust is powerful, Naruto. Always remember this. Trust can move mountains as if they were feathers. Trust brings people together. Trust follows doubts, friendship follows trust, and love follows friendship. All of it is part of the cycle of life. We must all walk this path to truly live. The cycle of life. The path of life. Naruto took the ice that Irika handed him and saw his former teacher smiling softly. The path of life. Trust. Friendship. Jiraiya was right. It was important to uphold those values and pass them on to others. Those values built society and enabled a life full of joy. Naruto learned this from Jiraiya, and now since Jiraiya was gone, Naruto understood what his task was. He looked at Irika and, for the first time in the last 48 hours, smiled softly. He would keep the promise he made to Jiraiya. I'm going to make sure the world is filled with trust and love. I will make it a happier, better place. That is my ninja way. The path of pain. It has to stop. Stop him. Reach out for Mount Myaboku. The toads will help you. Naruto sat on a stone pillar above the village, watching the sun start to rise. It was 5 a.m. He sat there and meditated, reflecting on the hidden message Jiraiya left him. After his painful passing, Jiraiya wrote a heartwarming letter for Naruto. Within the notes, Naruto could make out a secret message meant just for him. The path of pain. The path of life. The student Jiraiya spoke of. Naruto was sure the student had something to do with Jiraiya's death. He had failed his mission to guide the student of pain onto the path of life. Naruto opened his eyes as the sun began to set. He smiled. It had been a long time since he spent an evening watching the sunset. For him, it was the most beautiful time of day, and he would usually share it with Ino. His expression hardened. Naruto felt sadness wash over him. This mission was dangerous, and he didn't want to risk Ino's life by taking her with him. He sighed. He had to go. Before anyone could ask questions, Naruto used his teleportation jutsu to return to his apartment. He sat down on the bed, where a backpack was already packed beside him. He had used his free time in the afternoon to prepare and wanted to spend the rest of the day meditating. Looking up, he realized he had to leave now. He stood up, grabbed his backpack and some important scrolls from the table, including Jiraiya's letter, and moved toward the door. Unfortunately, before he could open the door and leave, a familiar voice stopped him. Where are you going, Naruto? Naruto sighed. This was the conversation he wanted to avoid. He turned around to see the worried eyes of Ino. She wasn't upset or suspicious, just concerned. What is it, love? Naruto turned back to the door. I have to go. I'm sorry. Where? Please tell me. Naruto remained silent. Don't you trust me? Am I not good enough for you? Naruto turned back to her, and what he saw broke his heart. Ino looked sad, on the verge of tears. He went to her and embraced her tightly. I love you, Ino. I do. You know this. And I'll love you forever. But he was my mentor. I have to find out the truth and confront the one he was looking for. Naruto felt Ino crying into his chest. He held her tighter and kissed her head. I'm just worried about you. You seem so down after his death, and I'm scared for you, Naruto. Naruto was nearly on the verge of tears himself. Ino, I'm grateful for how much you care. I'll be fine, dear. I will come back and I'll be happy after this. Ino pulled back slightly and looked into his eyes. Let me come with you. He wanted to avoid this topic at all costs, and he felt he had messed up. No. It will be too dangerous. I can't take you with me. Not at all. Her tears began to flow faster. Naruto lifted her chin and kissed her. Ino, I love you too much to let you come with me. I couldn't live with myself if something happened to you. For the first time during their conversation, she smiled, but it was still a sad smile. He didn't like that look at all. Please. Please, love. Naruto stayed silent and kissed her again before teleporting away, but not before saying those last words to her. I love you. Stay safe. The following morning, Naruto's friends gathered for breakfast, and of course, Ino was with them. But throughout the entire morning, she couldn't smile, and her friends noticed. However, there was something else that troubled them. Ino, where is Naruto? Sakura asked. Ino looked down, unable to say anything. But she couldn't avoid the questions. He left last night. He wanted to search for Jiraiya's murderer. The table fell silent until one of them decided to speak up. What a drag. That boy is so reckless, Shikamaru exclaimed. And he just left you? Just like that? Kiba asked. Just said it was too dangerous. He wanted to keep me safe. Temari sighed. How sweet. But he's still reckless. Do you know when he'll be back? Sai asked. Ino shook her head. Sai nodded in understanding. Just like in the ANBU. Everyone turned their heads to Sai, especially Ino, who looked at him with a questioning expression. What do you mean, Sai? Choji asked. It's just like in the ANBU. People start to feel down because of their missions and the things they have to do. The people they have to hurt. The hostages they have to leave behind. They start to feel lost and try to find a way out of the misery. And therefore, rage began to build inside Ino. If Sai was really going to say what she thought he was. They leave without a trace, saying they have a mission. And they never come back. People say they took their own lives. People say they went into hiding. But they are never heard of. What are you trying to imply, Sai? Shikamaru asked suspiciously. Cowards. The ANBU agents who leave their families and loved ones behind are cowards. The ninjas who abandon their comrades are cowards. Those people are cowards. Are you saying that Naruto is a coward? Is that what you're getting at? Temari asked angrily. Otherwise, he wouldn't have left. Look at us. Hard-working shinobi. We don't back down after one death. Lee nearly overturned the table. Naruto would never do this. He would never betray his comrades. He's right. Even though it was just one death, it was someone close to Naruto. Everyone would be shaken by this, Shikamaru explained. That's not true. You know this. We shinobi are trained to set aside our emotions and focus on completing every mission, even if it costs lives, Sai stated. Ino was seeing red. She was almost at the point where she would. Naruto has been emotionally unstable since childhood. I can recognize this. Emotional instability turns shinobi into cowards. I knew it from the moment I saw Naruto. It was evident when he left for Suna during our mission, Hinata, Ino. And he would do it every single time. Glances were thrown at Ino. She stood there, having just slapped Sai across the table. Sai was shocked, but his surprise quickly turned into a glare as Ino spoke. I'm tired of you speaking poorly of Naruto in front of me. You saw how we would have been in trouble if he hadn't shown up with Temari, Gaara, and Kankuro. You witnessed how he and Sasuke fought with everything they had. I can't stand how you talk about him when he's not here. It was the same during our mission. All eyes turned to Sai, some filled with anger. Sai wanted to respond but was cut off by an enraged Ino. What are you trying to accomplish with your insults? Trying to make me cut ties with Naruto and be with you? Is that your plan? If so, then you're a pathetic person who shouldn't call themselves a shinobi. I don't know why you act this way, but I can't stand it, and that makes me dislike you. Sai's expression shifted from anger to disbelief. Ino stood up, ready to leave. Don't speak to me again until you change your behavior. With that, she walked away, taking everyone else with her. Sai was left alone, feeling excluded from the group. But instead of sadness or disappointment, He felt pure rage. Rage directed at the one who had manipulated Ino into feeling this way about him. Naruto, you'll pay. I will take what's rightfully mine. Sai sat alone in his apartment. Everything was dark, and his mood matched the surroundings. He reflected on the day spent with his comrades and the argument about Naruto's motives for leaving the village. In his eyes, Naruto was a coward. He couldn't understand what Ino saw in him. Sure, he was a capable fighter, but he abandoned his comrades during their mission, and that was unforgivable. He resented Naruto for how Ino acted toward him. He didn't deserve her, not at all. Sai wouldn't admit it to anyone, but Ino should be with him instead of that blonde fool. You feel hatred, and that's understandable. Sai looked up to see a familiar figure standing in front of him. It was a person in a black coat, with black hair and white streaks. What do you want, Rikuro? I want to help you, Sai. I know what you desire, and I'll help you get it. Sai remembered the first time he met Rikuro, the evening before the mission. He had felt jealousy even then, watching the bond between Naruto and Ino while she continually rejected him. I need to apologize. You were right about Ino. She's not thinking clearly. Naruto manipulated her. I see that now. Rikuro shook his head. There's no need to apologize. You were naive, but you recognized the truth. That's what matters. Sai glanced at Rikuro. What should I do? You need to show Ino why she should choose you instead of him. He is gone, and this is your chance. But how can I do that? She won't talk to me anymore. Rikuro smiled. Don't worry about that. Soon, there will be the perfect opportunity. Sai tilted his head in confusion. What do you mean? What will happen soon? Rikuro stared at Sai. What do you think about the village? Does it mean a lot to you? Sai looked down. He primarily lived for the NBU. He had no other purpose, to be honest. The only thing that truly mattered to him was Ino. Sai looked back at Rikuro and shook his head. Rikuro smiled. I thought so. Well, prepare yourself. One of my most trusted associates will arrive soon, creating an opportunity for everyone to redeem themselves. A fresh start. And you can help me. You can help Ino find that new path. This will be your chance. Prepare, Sai. Sai wanted to ask more questions, but Rikuro had already vanished. He sat back down on the bed, contemplating his words. Enable the chance to redeem yourself. What could he mean by that? Sai sat there in the darkness, pondering Rikuro's cryptic message and what he would do if his interpretation was correct. What both groups didn't know was that the two battles they had to fight against Orochimaru and against Sasuke were more dangerous than they thought. Flowery Fox, a NaruIno Fanfiction, Infiltrating the Hideout. Kirin. Crimson Rasengan burst. Loud sounds and a giant explosion erupted as everything around the two boys was engulfed in a bright light. Flowery Fox, a NaruIno Fanfiction, Naruto vs. Sasuke. Chapter End. It was super calm, but the impression was deceiving. On the crooked floor, two bodies lay still. It seemed that both were unconscious, but they were not. The first, a shinobi with a purple belt and a long sword on his back, slowly began to rise. Sasuke Uchiha stood up and looked at the second shinobi lying a few meters away from him. Sasuke sniffed. He had to be dead. His Kirin must have destroyed him. But he was wrong. Naruto was still breathing, awake but unable to get to his feet. Sasuke grinned. Once again, Naruto had failed to finish him off. Now Sasuke had the chance to end it and complete what he couldn't finish years ago. Sasuke drew his sword and slowly moved toward Naruto. Even though he could walk, Sasuke felt sore. The use of his modified cursed mark and his most powerful jutsu, the Kirin, had taken its toll on his body. He felt exhausted. Yet he was surprised to see that Naruto had managed to counter his Kirin and survive. Sasuke wasn't even sure that Itachi would have been able to withstand the lightning beast. Sasuke stood over Naruto, looking down at him. His most dangerous rival was now helpless and ready to be defeated. Sasuke grinned. Finally, he could take another significant step on his path of revenge. He lifted his sword, pointing the blade at Naruto's stomach. Just one more strike and it would be over. This regular encounter with the blonde would come to an end. He could finally live freely and pursue Itachi without hindrance. One more move. He motioned to move and Flowery Fox, a NaruIno Fanfiction, aftermath of the battle. Naruto suddenly felt ill. He was on his way to Mount Myaboku, even though he didn't know the exact direction. But he had a feeling for it. As he walked, he stopped, feeling a cruel pain inside his body. Naruto coughed and something came out of his mouth. He felt nauseous and wanted to throw up, but he couldn't. What emerged frightened him, a black crow. The same black crow that had once ensnared him in a genjutsu created by Itachi. The crow turned its head and stared into Naruto's eyes. His eyes widened. The crow was still stuck in his mouth, but it didn't matter as the Sharingan eyes of the crow began to glow, and the genjutsu took hold. Naruto opened his eyes. The entire world was dark. He didn't know where he was, and it was hard to recognize anything. The sky was pitch black, and everything glowed in a blue-white hue. Naruto turned around and saw a large, shattered building. He could make out the Uchiha symbol. The Uchiha hideout? Why am I here, and why in Itachi's genjutsu? Naruto looked closer and couldn't believe his eyes. He saw Itachi engulfed in orange flames, slowly walking toward Sasuke. Both were completely worn out from their battle. The entire environment was destroyed. Itachi reached Sasuke. Naruto wanted to call out to them but couldn't. He watched helplessly as Itachi moved his hands and gently touched Sasuke's forehead. Naruto's eyes widened. In that moment, he felt Itachi's power being slowly drained. Itachi was fading. I'm sorry, but this is the last time, little brother. With a final smile, Itachi collapsed to the ground. Naruto felt another wave of pain. Itachi had died. Sasuke stood there, shock in his eyes, and just as it began to rain, he dropped to the ground as well. With that, the genjutsu began to fade away. But Naruto had learned something important during this confrontation. Itachi died in Sasuke's presence. That could not be good. Naruto opened his eyes. He was standing on the same path he had been on before. Nothing had changed. The crow was gone as well. But Naruto had learned something significant after that encounter. Itachi died in Sasuke's presence. That could not bode well. Deciding to put this aside for now, Naruto continued on his journey. He had to reach Mount Myaboku and find the murderer of Jiraiya. After a long walk filled with thoughts, Naruto suddenly sensed a dark presence. He looked up and recognized a bright waterfall. But that was not all. In front of the waterfall stood a figure. A man in a black coat adorned with red clouds, an Akatsuki member. Naruto cautiously approached until the strange shinobi turned around. I never expected someone to come here, the figure said. Naruto analyzed the person. He was tall, his face obscured by the Akatsuki coat, but Naruto noticed several metal piercings on his nose, 6, to be exact. The shinobi's spiky hair was similar to Naruto's but bright orange. What unsettled Naruto the most were his strange purple eyes with black rings. Who are you? Naruto demanded. And who are you? The figure replied. A silence hung between them. Naruto felt uneasy in the presence of this man, who radiated a dark aura. Suddenly, he lost control of his body. Without thinking, Naruto rushed forward, unaware that this encounter would lead to his downfall. Several days passed quietly since Naruto left the village. No one had heard from him, and no one knew where he had gone. However, the villagers had other pressing concerns. The Cloud Village and the Mist Village were unwilling to negotiate with the Leaf and the Sand, and tensions between the villages were escalating. The Hidden Leaf had never had a good relationship with the Cloud, as both had been active forces during the Third Great Ninja War, which had cost many shinobi and innocent lives. Ino was struggling with her own feelings. She was still heartbroken that her boyfriend had left without her. Yet, she tried to push through the sadness, knowing that Naruto had left to ensure her safety. She admired his determination to protect his loved ones and felt grateful to be someone he cared about deeply. At 17, nearly 18, she longed to spend her life with him and hoped he would return soon. But an annoying obstacle stood in her way, Sai. Their last interaction had been far from pleasant, as she had slapped him in front of everyone for speaking poorly of Naruto. Although it hurt to see Naruto leave, Ino understood it was for the greater good. Since then, Sai had attempted to engage her in conversation, but she consistently rejected him, which only fueled his frustration. Ino wasn't afraid of him, but she wanted to avoid any uncomfortable situations. To do this, she spent most of her free time with friends, making Sai's advances less noticeable. The entire village was on edge, fearing a sudden attack, and unfortunately, their fears were about to be realized. It was a bustling afternoon in Konoha, with villagers busy with their daily tasks. Amidst the crowd, a strange figure cloaked in black moved silently, avoiding contact with anyone. When he reached the center of a crossroad, he paused, oblivious to the annoyance he caused behind him. He stood there, watching the flow of people, his expression unreadable. Soon, chaos would reign. In an instant, explosions erupted around the area, sending the villagers into a frenzy as they scrambled for safety. The cloaked figure remained emotionless, feeling a sense of detachment as he watched the panic unfold. Ino stood frozen, overwhelmed by shock as explosions rocked the village and screams filled the air. It wasn't until her friends, Shikamaru and Temari, pulled her away that she snapped. Back to reality. Ino, we need to move. Shikamaru urged. Ino followed them, trusting Shikamaru's instincts. We have to report to Lady Tsunade. She'll have a task for us, he shouted. No. We need to help the injured. Temari insisted. Shikamaru growled in frustration but nodded in agreement. As shinobi, it was their duty to assist the civilians. Ino, still in shock, began to comprehend the situation. She could see the fear in the eyes of those around her, which jolted her into action. Let's start here and see if we can find anyone hurt, she suggested. Shikamaru nodded. You two check this area, and I'll see if I can help in the next one. With that he dashed off. Ino and Temari began guiding villagers to safety and searching for the injured. They managed to help many people who had been hurt by falling debris. They also spotted Team 8 Hinata, Kiba, and Shino assisting others. Together, they evacuated a significant number of villagers until Ino felt a chilling presence, an aura that sent shivers down her spine. She stopped and looked up, her friends following her gaze. What they saw made their hearts race. A man floated effortlessly in the sky, defying gravity with bright orange hair and metal piercings adorning his face. He watched the village with an unsettling calmness that filled Ino with dread. So guilty. So predictable. So humanoid, he murmured, his voice carrying clearly to them despite the chaos. Ino's eyes widened in disbelief. Humanoid? Could they truly be facing a god? I will teach you the path of pain, he proclaimed, stretching his arms out over the city. A heavy silence fell, as if the entire village was holding its breath, listening to the ominous words of the figure above. Shinra Tensei. As he spoke, a powerful shockwave erupted, obliterating buildings and sending debris flying. The explosion was cataclysmic, shaking the very foundations of the village. Ino awoke from unconsciousness, trapped beneath rubble. With a surge of determination, she pushed the rocks aside and stood up, her heart sinking at the devastation around her. Buildings lay in ruins, and the sight of lifeless bodies and scattered debris shattered her spirit. In shock, she stumbled through the wreckage, searching for her friends. She recognized Shikamaru, Temari, Kiba, Hinata, and the others. They were kneeling around a single body, and it broke Ino's heart when she recognized who it was. Ino walked towards them and sat down beside Lee, who lay still, his youthful face devoid of breath. Tears streamed down Ino's cheeks as she mourned not just for him but for all the lives lost. She glanced up at the sky and saw the attacker, the god, floating there, unmoving, as if nothing had happened. Turning back to her friends, Ino saw fear etched on their faces, but there was also determination in their eyes. They were ready to face the formidable opponent. Ino realized she needed to set her grief aside for now. They had a village to protect. It was their duty as shinobi of the leaf. At that moment, a dark voice echoed from above, sending chills through the air. I will teach you to suffer to transcend mortality. He clapped his hands together, and the metal piercings on his face vanished, replaced by 5 bright lights that floated before them. As they transformed, Ino could see 5 silhouettes that resembled the attacker, differing only in hair, facial features, and size. 6 bodies hovered over Konoha, all with orange hair and cloaks adorned with red clouds. This world shall know nothing but pain. Behold! The 6 paths of pain. The 5 additional bodies spread throughout the village, confronting the fighting forces. One leaped right in front of Ino and her friends, and the shinobi braced themselves for battle. The leader remained above, watching as the monumental clash between him, a god, and mere ninjas was about to erupt, marking one of the deadliest encounters in shinobi history. Ino and her friends stood silently in the plaza, surrounded by destruction. But their focus was on the figure standing a few feet away, one of the paths of pain. The shinobi, cloaked in black with red clouds, stood still, observing them. Ino thought she saw a hint of a smirk on his face, but she refused to be intimidated. She needed to understand the motives of this godlike ninja. Why had he attacked the village? Why did he want to harm so many innocent people? What did he mean by giving the people a new chance? Suddenly, her sensei Asuma appeared beside them. Ino, Shikamaru, are you all right? Shikamaru nodded slightly. No problems for now, but that could change. Asuma turned his gaze to the intruder. There are 4 more scattered around the village, and the leader is just resting above us. Ino dared to look at the leader. Asuma was right. He was floating there, seemingly plotting something, and that worried her. She turned back to the attacker in front of them, and her eyes widened. If the other paths were spread throughout the village, that meant, Asuma, where is Kurenai? Even without looking at him, she sensed the shock on his face. He was likely busy ensuring the safety of innocent villagers and couldn't rush to help his wife. Asuma motioned to move back towards their apartment, but Shikamaru stopped him. I'll go. I'm faster than you. You stay here and help the others. Asuma hesitated but ultimately agreed. All right, but go. Now. Without hesitation, Shikamaru turned and dashed away. Ino's gaze returned to the intruder. Her thoughts drifted to Naruto, her boyfriend, and how he wasn't there. He would have a plan to defeat them without a doubt. But he wasn't here, and she needed to think for herself. Yet, without Naruto by her side, she felt vulnerable. Suddenly, the path smirked and laughed, breaking her thoughts. Ino looked at him, confused. You're thinking about the blonde ninja, aren't you? Her eyes widened in shock. How did he know? I am the human path, Ninjendo. I can perceive the thoughts and emotions of every human. Should I tell you something, little girl? Ino stood frozen, unsure of what to expect. We met him, and our main path ended his life. His blood flowed. Ninjendo laughed maniacally. Ino's heart sank. Her dear Naruto. The thought was unbearable. Anger surged within her, replacing the sadness. She had one desire, to defeat them, to make them pay. Ino. Temari began, but Ino didn't listen. She charged at Ninjendo, who continued to laugh. Ino threw punches and kicks, surprising him, but he managed to block most of her attacks. Ninjendo went into a defensive stance, while Ino pressed on, kicking and punching with determination. When he blocked her strikes, she spun around and delivered a drop kick to his torso. Though he blocked it, Ino used a body replacement jutsu to swap places with a nearby rock, catching him off guard with a kick to his back. Ninjendo stumbled but quickly regained his footing, only to be met with another flurry of attacks from Ino. As she continued her offensive, she began to tire, her movements slowing. Ninjendo saw his chance and launched a series of rapid strikes. Ino struggled to defend herself and was hit several times. When she let her guard down for just a moment, Ninjendo landed a powerful roundhouse kick that sent her flying several feet away. When Ino hit solid ground and looked up, she saw the orange flash and the overwhelming intent of the human path. In mere seconds, he would strike her down. But it didn't come to that. Ninjendo was distracted by Akamaru's sudden attack, causing him to back away to shake off the dog. Temari then unleashed a series of wind attacks at the human path, forcing him to dodge furiously as the fast-paced projectiles flew toward him. The human path drew a metal rod, intending to use it as a weapon against Temari. However, his plan was thwarted when Asuma intervened, clashing his double blades against the rod. Ninjendo smirked and retreated as Kiba and Temari joined Asuma's side. Hinata rushed to Ino. "Here, let me heal you." Ino appreciated Hinata's healing jutsu and turned her gaze back to the battlefield. Ninjendo faced Kiba, Temari, and Asuma, with Asuma standing protectively in front of the group. "Listen up. We're going to launch a triple attack. Formation D2. Understood." Temari and Kiba shouted in unison. Kiba dashed along the right side while Temari moved to the left. With the two flanking him, Asuma prepared to launch a direct attack on Ninjendo. The simultaneous assault began. Kiba was the fastest, throwing punches at Ninjendo, who blocked them with ease. But when Temari joined in, Ninjendo found it increasingly difficult to defend against their combined efforts. Asuma entered the fray, and the human path began to tire. Despite his defensive nature, Ninjendo had to exert every ounce of energy to block the relentless attacks from the shinobi. With only the soul absorption jutsu at his disposal, he relied on taijutsu. However, the rapid-fire assaults created openings in the defenses of all three shinobi. Ninjendo skillfully dodged a simultaneous strike from Kiba and Temari, sending them sprawling backward, then used his metal rod to parry Asuma's blades. As the battle intensified, Asuma infused more chakra into his blades, launching stronger and faster combos. Unbeknownst to him, this infusion opened his mind, allowing Ninjendo to anticipate Asuma's next moves. He successfully blocked 6 consecutive attacks and disarmed Asuma, kicking him several feet away. Ino watched in horror, still unable to move properly from the earlier onslaught. The human path turned back to Temari and Kiba, who were slowly getting back on their feet. But Ninjendo wouldn't grant them much time. He drew a second metal rod and charged at both shinobi with blinding speed, intent on finishing them off. Ino wanted to shout for Hinata to help, but no words escaped her lips. Just as the rods were about to strike Kiba and Temari, that they collided with solid ground a few feet in front of them. Ino looked up in surprise, but that surprise quickly morphed into horror. Blood began to seep from a body nearby. "You have to be more careful. In battle." The human path smirked and withdrew his metal rods, allowing the body to drop to the ground. With a final smile, the person pierced by the rods glanced at Ino and uttered his last words. "I'm sorry. Take care of Kurenai." And with that, Asuma Sarutobi fell lifeless to the ground, his last breath escaping him. Ino's eyes filled with tears. First, she received the devastating news of her boyfriend's death, and now she witnessed the loss of her sensei, who had sacrificed himself because she couldn't save Temari and Kiba in time. Emotions surged within her, and anger coursed through her veins once more. This adrenaline fueled her body, allowing her to stand up. Without a second thought, she charged at Ninjendo for a final confrontation. This time, Ino's attacks came faster and with greater strength. She moved like a blur around Ninjendo, landing blow after blow with sheer force. The speed of her strikes overwhelmed him, and within half a minute, she had delivered more than 100 direct hits. The final blow sent him crashing to the ground. Ino paused, watching as the human path struggled to rise. With an evil smirk, she declared her last words to him. "Prepare to face your end." Suddenly, as Ino unleashed her fury, explosive tags around Ninjendo ignited. His eyes widened in shock as he realized that while he had been focused on her, she had strategically placed those tags throughout the battlefield for a final, devastating blow. The explosion struck him hard. Though he managed to evade most of it, it still tore through his upper right arm and completely severed his left arm. Ino stood still, watching as the human path staggered back, fear finally visible in his eyes. "Diamant, I will retreat for now. You will all lose your bodies and awaken in a more peaceful world under the main path's rule." And with that he vanished in an instant. Ino dropped to her knees, nearly depleted of her strength after the battle. But her focus shifted as she looked up to see Asuma's still bleeding body. Crawling to him, she began to cry as she reached his side. Her sensei was gone, and the pain of losing her boyfriend compounded her grief. With tears streaming down her cheeks, she looked up to the sky and screamed, pouring out all her sorrow for the two people who had meant the world to her. To be continued. Next chapter, The Path's Attack 2, Naraka Path. Quick, we have to get away from here. Konohamaru ignored Ebisu's voice, watching as the village crumbled further. With each passing second, another building was engulfed in an explosion. Konohamaru had seen many fallen comrades, and he couldn't believe this would be the end. Konohamaru, we need to move. Ebisu shouted urgently. Konohamaru turned slowly, his mind racing. It wasn't just the sudden attack on the village that troubled him, it was the absence of Naruto. He had always believed that Naruto would be there to protect them in times of danger. But this time he was nowhere to be found. Shaking off the thought, Konohamaru reminded himself that Naruto was his big brother, the one who had taught him so many incredible jutsu. He knew Naruto would come back. The question was whether he would arrive in time. Konohamaru. Ebisu's voice broke through his thoughts, but Konohamaru couldn't focus on the words. He was lost in his worries about Naruto, ignoring Ebisu and his teammates, Udon and Moegi. He noticed their concerned glances but chose to disregard them, fixated instead on the orange blur that was attacking them. Watch out! Fortunately, his teammates reacted quickly, sensing the danger and managing to dodge the attack just in time. Konohamaru turned to face their attacker. The figure resembled the orange-haired ninja he admired but had different features and piercings. Konohamaru, Udon, Moegi. Get to safety. I'll hold him off, Ebisu commanded. Without hesitation, Udon and Moegi pulled Konohamaru away from the battlefield. It wasn't until they were hidden in the shadows of a large building that he realized what had happened. That was close, Moegi said, her voice trembling. We need to put more distance between us and him. Let's go, Udon urged. Let's move. As they prepared to leave, they noticed Konohamaru was missing. They turned back, but he was nowhere to be found in the shadows. Konohamaru. Meanwhile, Konohamaru stood on a nearby rooftop, watching the battle unfold between Ebisu and the Naraka Path. He learned that this enemy could extract the truth from his victims using a special summoning technique. To his horror, he saw Ebisu struggling to defend himself, unable to counterattack as Naraka dominated the fight. Naraka pulled out two metal rods, using them like swords, making it even harder for Ebisu to defend himself. In a swift motion, one of the rods found its mark, and Ebisu fell to his knees, blood spilling from his mouth. Naraka looked down at him with disdain. So weak and pathetic. But your soul will serve me well. Then, the ominous statue appeared, ready to consume Ebisu's soul. Konohamaru's heart raced. He had to do something to distract Naraka. Just as the enemy prepared to seize Ebisu's soul, he spotted Konohamaru and dodged an incoming kick. Konohamaru! Ebisu exclaimed, recognizing him. Konohamaru stood firm, focusing on Naraka. Bravery can be foolish, kid. You should leave, Naraka taunted. But Konohamaru remembered Naruto's words about never backing down from a fight, no matter how slim the chances of success. Those who abandon their comrades are worse than scum, he shouted, charging at Naraka. Naraka smirked and lashed out with his rods. Konohamaru, though inexperienced, fought back with all his might. He blocked and dodged, determined not to give up. The clash of their weapons echoed in the air as Konohamaru rolled away, creating space to strike back. He managed to land a few hits before Naraka countered, knocking away his kunai. Now unarmed, Konohamaru pressed on, engaging in close combat. He caught Naraka off guard, landing punches to his gut and jaw. But soon, Naraka retaliated, striking Konohamaru with one of the metal rods, stunning him. Before he could recover, Naraka seized him by the neck, lifting him against the wall. Now, you shall feel the pain, Naraka sneered. The soul-draining entity appeared, and Konohamaru felt his strength waning, his vision fading. Suddenly, in a puff of smoke, Konohamaru vanished, leaving Naraka bewildered. How? Before Naraka could react, he turned to see Konohamaru and a clone charging at him, a familiar sphere of energy in hand. Listen, Konohamaru. I'm going to teach you a very useful but skill-based technique. If you master it, it can become a powerful weapon against even the toughest foes. It is called Rasen. The moment the sphere struck Naraka, a tremendous explosion erupted, sending the boy crashing into a nearby wall. Konohamaru stood up, ready to continue the fight, but then he noticed Naraka lying still, not moving. A small, grim smile crept onto his face. I did it. I defeated one of them. This is for you, big bro. Not long after, Konohamaru collapsed to the ground, unconscious, but not before hearing the cheerful voice of his blonde teacher once more. To be continued. Next chapter, The Path's Attack Animal Path. Kurenai anxiously awaited her husband's arrival. Currently, she was dodging the relentless attacks from the Animal Path summons. The orange-haired Akatsuki had summoned 3 large double-headed dogs that continuously lunged at her. With a baby in her arms, she couldn't fight back. During the chaos, she had no time to hand Mirai over to any villager who could take her and Asuma's child to safety. She had no choice but to stay and face the threat as Animal targeted her the moment he appeared on the streets of Konoha. Kurenai desperately hoped Asuma would arrive any second to save her and Mirai. He was all she could rely on. But her heart sank when she found herself cornered and surrounded by the summons, with no way out. I can't die here. Not with her. Animal stood about 10 feet away, grinning at her predicament. Well, this is how you meet your end, woman. Your child will serve our purpose perfectly. Kurenai flinched and growled. She would never allow them to take Mirai from her. She would protect her with her life. This will be fun. Attack. The summons charged at Kurenai, but she leaped over them, causing them to collide. She then stomped the ground and kicked the summons, dealing significant damage. Some of the creatures vanished, but the remaining ones retreated. Animal used this moment to summon larger and more formidable monsters, keeping the pressure on Kurenai. Now, she had to evade their attacks, as the new summons were quicker and more cunning than the first. With no room for counterattacks, she backed away toward a wall and ran up to a safer position. You won't escape so easily, woman. Summoning Jutsu, Winged Storm. 3 massive black eagles appeared and swooped toward Kurenai. She managed to dodge the first 2, but the third anticipated her movements and was about to strike. Suddenly, the bird halted, and Kurenai watched as Shikamaru used the walls around her with his shadow grip technique to immobilize it. She felt the presence of the bird fade as the shadows enveloped it, and soon it vanished in a puff of smoke. Kurenai jumped down to the ground and stood beside Shikamaru, who glared at Animal. Attacking a defenseless woman. And you want to rule the world? Animal merely grinned at this challenge. Kurenai leaned toward Shikamaru. Where is Asuma? With the others. I was faster, so I came to find you. Kurenai nodded, feeling a wave of relief wash over her. Asuma was safe. Animal's grin vanished. Enough. Playtime is over. I'll take down both of you and the child. With that, he summoned 2 metal rods and charged forward. Shikamaru drew a kunai and rushed at Animal as well. The sound of metal clashing echoed as they exchanged blows. Kurenai noticed that Shikamaru was on the defensive, moving strategically across the area. She realized he was placing markers on the ground, preparing for a decisive strike. Just as Shikamaru was about to execute his plan, Animal attacked fiercely, leaving him no chance to activate the trap. Kurenai knew she had to step in to help. Genjutsu Art, Dawn of the Moon. Animal froze, his eyes turning dark, signaling the genjutsu had taken effect. Shikamaru nodded at Kurenai and used wires to ensnare Animal, wrapping him in a cocoon that would soon be destroyed. Shikamaru returned to Kurenai and threw a lighter at the traps. The ground erupted in an explosion, and Animal was eliminated. But that was only what they thought. Kurenai suddenly felt a chilling breath on her neck. You're mine, woman. Animal lunged at Kurenai, but someone was quicker. He was kicked away, and Kurenai noticed Shikamaru was joined by several other jonin, including Kakashi, Guy, and Chunin like Irika. Animal growled. This isn't over. We'll get you all. With that, he retreated, disappearing from sight. Kakashi turned to Kurenai. Are you all right? Kurenai nodded. Yes. Mirai and I are fine. Kakashi replied, Good. Shikamaru, stay with her. We'll handle this path. The group of ninjas rushed forward to confront Animal. Ino continued to cry, mourning her teacher. Asuma had fallen in battle against Ninjendo, and she felt responsible for not saving him. After a few moments, she, Temari, and Hinata noticed something emerging from the woods. Well, who do we have here? A group of broken teenagers. Another path emerged from the ruins, accompanied by summoned dogs. Animal! Ino exclaimed. Animal grinned. It's nice to see you recognize me. But unfortunately, you will pay for hurting my brother Ninjendo. So, prepare to meet your end. Before anything could happen, Sai stepped in front of Ino, taking a defensive stance. You won't touch her. Animal continued grinning. What do we have here? A pale boy. Do you want to die? Sai remained silent. I say it again. Just like he did. I won't let you do this. Animal's grin faded. He seemed to understand Sai's resolve. Well, I'm not in the mood to fight you. With that, Animal retreated, leaving the scene. Sai turned to Ino. Are you all right? Ino leaned down beside Asuma, tears still flowing. Come on. We need to get away from here. Sai gently took Ino's hand, and she didn't resist, too devastated to protest. He led her, along with Temari and Hinata, to a safe place within the ruins. Ino sat down and leaned against a wall while Hinata settled next to her, and Temari dashed around energetically. We can't stay here. We have to help people, Ino insisted. Sai turned to her. We can't. Ino needs to rest. We all fought, Sai. We're all exhausted, but we can't let the villagers suffer just because we need a break. That's the coward's way. Then go. Ino will stay here. Temari's expression turned fierce. Don't think I don't know what you're planning. You won't get away with it. Sai's face remained impassive. I was unwell before. My mind is clear now, and I'll protect her. Temari didn't respond and turned to Hinata. Stay with her. Promise me. Hinata nodded, and with that, Temari left. Sai watched her go and turned to Hinata. Can you heal her? Hinata nodded again and began using her healing jutsu on Ino. They remained in the ruins for several minutes, listening to the distant sounds of destruction and calmness outside. Ino was napping, and Hinata appeared to be on the verge of sleep as well. Fortunately for Sai, he had missed the earlier chaos during breakfast when Ino had rejected him, so there were no obstacles in his plan. As luck would have it, Hinata soon fell asleep. Seizing the moment, Sai cast a jutsu on her to keep her in slumber for a while. He then gently picked up Ino and carried her away. After walking for a few minutes, he set Ino down, ensuring they were alone and undisturbed. Sai's resolve began to waver. He knelt beside Ino and leaned in closer. He noticed how exhausted she was, still lost in her dreams. With every gentle kiss, he infused a bit of his chakra to keep her in a peaceful state. He continued to kiss her neck, moving lower, but just as he was about to cross a line, Ino suddenly broke free from the jutsu and kicked him away with surprising strength. You creep! How could you? Ino shouted, scrambling to gather her clothes and fleeing from him. She needed to escape, to get away from him and this place. If Naruto were still alive, he would have dealt with Sai. Ino ran without a destination, her mind racing. Eventually, she found herself in a wide-open area, stunned to see the destruction around her. The main path had obliterated the part of the village she stood on, leaving nothing but emptiness. Overwhelmed, Ino collapsed to her knees, feeling as if everything she cherished was lost. She wished for it all to end. Suddenly, she sensed a presence approaching. Looking up, she saw a familiar silhouette land before her, eyes piercing through the haze. A helpless soul? Don't worry. I'll relieve you of your pain, the figure said, raising a hand. Ino closed her eyes, wishing for everything to be over. But just then, a loud explosion erupted, sending a cloud of smoke billowing in front of her. As the smoke began to clear, she strained to make out the figure. You? I thought I killed you. How are you alive? The figure exclaimed. When the smoke finally dissipated, Ino recognized a certain blonde teen, now clad in a black and red coat. Get ready, everyone. The next chapter will be the grand finale of this story. Stay tuned for its release soon. Thank you for reading and supporting this journey. It means a lot. Naruto. Naruto didn't turn around. He stood firm, confidence radiating from his stance. No doubts, no fear. Even though he was facing pain and showing Ino his back, she could sense the seriousness etched on his face. "How are you still alive?" Pain asked. "It doesn't matter. What matters is that you attacked my village. And that is unforgivable." "Never." A long, uncomfortable silence hung in the air between them. The wind whistled softly, amplifying the tension. Ino felt as if the silence could suffocate her. "Ino." Ino startled and looked up at Naruto, who slowly turned his head toward her. "Are you all right?" Ino hesitated. She didn't want to burden Naruto with the details of Sai's actions. That would only put him in danger. But her thoughts were a whirlwind. She was looking at the man she thought was dead, the one who had seemingly fallen to pain. Her boyfriend. The love of her life. She was still reeling from the chaos caused by Sai, the loss of Asuma, and the relief that Naruto was alive and unharmed. Pain must have lied, or perhaps a miracle had brought him back. Either way, Ino was grateful he was okay. "Ino." She startled again, meeting Naruto's gaze. His eyes had changed. The pupils were yellow, the irises black, and a red ring encircled them. Those new eyes were intimidating. "But, yes, I'm fine." Naruto waited, then turned back to Pain. "I'll ask you again. Why did you attack my village and take the lives of my precious villagers? What did they do to deserve this?" Pain remained emotionless. "The question is not what they did, but what they didn't. I am offering them a chance to regain their lives and innocence. They will start anew with me as their ruler. A just ruler. Nothing about your actions is just. Taking lives is never justifiable. I won't allow you to declare yourself the ruler of this world. Not until people can live freely and change their own fates. You will never be just. And that's why I will stop you." Once again, a powerful silence fell, and the tension escalated. "If you're going to stand in my way." Naruto remained steadfast, his expression serious, almost angry. "Then I'll end you and fulfill our prophecy." The wind howled, heralding what could be the greatest battle between two of the most powerful beings in the village: Naruto, the prodigy of Konoha and future Hokage, and Pain, a being close to a god. The tension was palpable as both sides prepared for their first moves. "I'm going to settle this." Pain summoned his remaining paths, 4 additional ones, and readied himself for the final battle. "Bring it." With that, the clash began. The 4 paths of Pain charged at Naruto. Surprisingly, he stood his ground, not moving an inch. As the first path reached him and threw punches, Naruto blocked 2 of them and retaliated with a single punch that sent the first path flying. Ino was stunned. She had never witnessed such raw power in a human, especially not in Naruto. She knew he was strong with the fox spirit within him, but this was something else entirely. The next path attempted an uppercut, but Naruto, quick on his feet, leaped into the air and delivered a powerful kick that shattered the path. Once again, Naruto showcased his incredible strength. The third path tried to stab him with a metal rod, but Naruto charged forward, dodging the attack and throwing a punch that missed. However, in his new state, Naruto had developed a technique that allowed his missed punch to extend, sending the third path flying. Ino was amazed. With just 3 attacks, Naruto had taken down 3 of Pain's paths, something the other ninjas could hardly fathom, as they struggled against just 1. The last path decided against close combat and bit its finger to perform a powerful jutsu. Nuisance. Summoning jutsu. Suddenly, 3 giant dogs appeared, ready to charge at Naruto. He intended to summon shadow clones to counter, but then 3 giant toads emerged, seemingly allies of Naruto. "Let us handle this, kid." The toads drew their swords and charged at the dogs. The clash of the 6 beings created a shockwave that nearly knocked Ino off her feet, but she managed to stay grounded. After the toads' swift attacks, the dogs vanished, and the toads landed back on the ground. Pain saw his moment to strike. "This is my chance." He charged forward, leaping into the air to unleash one of his most powerful attacks. Almighty push! The resulting shockwave blasted everything away. Naruto braced himself, managing to stay grounded, but the toads were caught off guard and blown away. Chief Toad! Naruto exclaimed. The toads landed at various points throughout Konoha before disappearing. Naruto turned his focus back to Pain and the remaining path, determined to end this. I'll settle this. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 2 clones appeared beside him. Pain and the remaining path tried to intervene, but it was too late. Naruto successfully formed a Rasengan in his hand, an enhanced version more powerful than ever. The clones vanished, and Naruto launched the new Rasengan at his enemies. Wind Style, True Rasen Shuriken. The Rasengan spun and passed Pain as he leaped into the air. The path attempted to dodge the Rasengan, but it was too late. The Rasengan expanded rapidly and struck the path decisively, causing it to disintegrate. Naruto panted heavily, realizing he had done it. He had defeated the remaining paths. Only Pain was left. Unfortunately, the Rasen Shuriken had drained most of his Senchakra, causing his eye rings to fade and leaving him out of Sage mode. Pain seized the opportunity to finally eliminate the only one who could challenge him. Using his gravitational jutsu, he pulled Naruto toward him and gripped him by the neck. Pain brandished a metal rod, intent on sealing the fate of Konoha and ending their fiercest fighter. It's over, Pain declared, aiming the metal rod at Naruto. The sound of something piercing flesh echoed through the air. Naruto dropped to the ground, confused as he realized he hadn't been struck. Looking up, he was horrified to see what had transpired. Pain stood before him, and the metal rod had pierced another body. Naruto. Ino gasped, standing protectively in front of him. She had taken the blow and was coughing, blood spilling from her lips. Naruto. Fear gripped him as he looked at her. No, he couldn't lose the one person who meant everything to him. Love. She couldn't finish her sentence. She collapsed to the ground, lifeless. Naruto could only watch in horror as the love of his life slipped away right before his eyes. His emotions spiraled out of control, and everything around him turned red. Pain stood there, momentarily taken aback by the power radiating from the blonde. The power of the Nine Tails? As the smoke cleared, Pain witnessed the true might that Naruto possessed. He had heard whispers from the other Akatsuki members, but now, facing it firsthand, he felt an unsettling fear. The aura emanating from Naruto was undeniably dangerous. Naruto had transformed into his Nine Tails form, now sporting 6 tails and an exoskeleton that made him look formidable. Without wasting a moment, he lunged at Pain, unleashing a flurry of punches, jabs, and scratches. His arms extended, and even his tails joined the assault. Pain struggled to defend himself, taking numerous hits. His coat was torn apart as he was sent flying by a powerful strike from the fox. Pain found himself on one knee, staring at the approaching fox. You leave me no other choice. Absorption. Using his gravity powers, he summoned every rock in sight to create a shield. Pain grinned, believing it was the end for the fox. Naruto charged at Pain, skillfully dodging every rock hurled at him, regardless of their size. As he dodged the last boulder, he leaped at Pain, ready to strike, but Pain smirked, sensing victory. Planetary devastation. The ground trembled as rocks began to explode, launching into the sky. The fox was caught in the chaos, unable to escape as the boulders formed a massive sphere above. Pain chuckled, convinced he had defeated the Nine Tails. Just one more gesture, and another of Akatsuki's goals would be achieved. He raised his hand, ready to crush Naruto. But then an explosion erupted from the gathering rocks. Pain jumped back, astonished by what he saw. One by one, the tails emerged from the rubble, and soon, 8 tails were visible, followed by the fox itself. Naruto had transformed again. Now, he was the 8 tails, a mere shadow of his former self. He inhaled deeply, preparing for another powerful attack. Magnificent, Pain muttered. The fox locked eyes with Pain and exhaled, unleashing a powerful stream that sent Pain crashing into nearby rocks. He was barely hanging on. With one eye closed, Pain looked up. So that's the true power of the fox. The fox appeared ready to unleash another attack, but then a brilliant white light erupted, engulfing everything in Pain's view. Naruto! Naruto! Son! Naruto looked up, surrounded by white light, unable to see anything. Naruto, I help you. Save the ones you love. As the lights faded, only one thought remained in Naruto's mind. Dad. Pain regained his focus as the white light dissipated. He was astonished to see a boulder floating in the sky. It was impossible. The boy who should have perished was still alive. There stood Naruto, arms crossed, a stern expression on his face. Impossible. Is he already? Pain realized the truth. Naruto had taken control of the Nine Tails. Naruto was looking into the eyes of Pain, feeling an unexpected calm wash over him. There was no hatred, no suffering, and no desire for revenge. The vision of his father filled his mind, clearing away the thoughts of Ino's fate. He couldn't dwell on that now. He had to focus on defeating Pain. With a fierce growl, Naruto shouted from the depths of his heart, "Let's end this." He charged at Pain, unleashing a flurry of punches. He could sense Pain's fatigue, and it fueled his determination. The fox unleashed several powerful attacks, and while Pain tried to defend himself, he took several direct hits. Naruto decided to escalate his assault, retreating momentarily to summon a group of clones. They swarmed around Pain, executing a series of coordinated attacks that further drained his energy. Frustrated, Pain decided to break free with one of his signature moves. Almighty Push! To his surprise, the clones vanished instantly. Pain's expression shifted to one of seriousness as he scanned the area. He spotted Naruto and two clones forming a Rasen Shuriken. Anger flashed in Naruto's eyes. "I'll finish this right now." He hurled the shuriken at Pain, who effortlessly leaped over it with a graceful flip. Naruto stood still, closing his eyes to attune himself to the earth's energy. Timing was crucial for his next move. Not yet. Pain was still airborne, preparing to land. Not yet. But he unleashed his new jutsu, one that would bring an end to Pain. Sage Art, Massive Rasengan Mega Barrage. As Pain descended, thousands of Naruto's clones appeared, each wielding a double Rasengan. Pain quickly reacted, using his almighty push to counter. The clash of energy erupted in a powerful shockwave, sweeping away the debris around them. Pain struggled against the overwhelming force, but the sheer number of clones was too much. In a final effort, Naruto created two more clones to form another double Rasengan and launched himself into the fray. The resulting explosion sent both Naruto and Pain flying backward. As the smoke cleared, Naruto and Pain rose to their feet, locking eyes. Naruto's Sage Chakra faded, and he returned to his normal state, while Pain panted heavily, clearly exhausted from the battle. But Naruto wasn't done yet. He summoned two more clones to create another Rasengan, preparing for one last push. "You don't stand a chance," Pain declared, raising his hand. "Give up." The clone propelled Naruto forward. "You give up." Pain attempted his almighty push once more, but this time, he faltered. He had exhausted his energy. "Give up trying to make me give up." The Rasengan collided with Pain, engulfing the area in a massive blue shockwave. Naruto opened his eyes, standing atop the head of the fourth Hokage, gazing at the village below. It was thriving once again, with people working together to rebuild what had been lost. A sense of happiness filled the air, and Naruto smiled, recalling a significant conversation he had with Nagato after their fight. "Why do you think you can protect these people? Why do you believe they deserve happiness when I did not?" Nagato had asked, his form a mere shadow of his former self, frail and bound to a mechanical support. Naruto chose his words carefully, knowing he had the chance to reach Nagato. "I believe." Nagato's piercing gaze met his. "I believe in what our sensei taught us, Jiraiya." His view on life was about helping those we care about and saving humanity from evil. He wanted us to understand that the most important thing in life is the people we love. "I know you feel that way too, Nagato. You care about Konan." Nagato paused, glancing at the blue-haired Akatsuki member, who remained focused on Naruto. "I want to keep that meaning alive. I want to ensure we all have the chance to protect our loved ones. I know you want this too. We are not so different, Nagato. Jiraiya cared for both of us. If we continue to fight, everything he taught us will be in vain, and his efforts to improve your lives will have been for nothing. Nagato looked down, then back at Naruto. Naruto. Silence hung between them. You are an interesting person. I hope you can keep your sense of life alive. Nagato began forming hand signs for a jutsu, but Konan urged him to stop. Nagato, if you... Konan. She fell silent. I made my mistake. I realize that now. But the pure heart of this boy is worth helping. I want you to support him with every breath you can spare. That is my last wish for you, my dear. Tears welled in Konan's eyes as Naruto remained quiet, knowing he had successfully reached Nagato. And Naruto. Naruto turned to Nagato, seeing determination in his eyes. Take this. It is my last gift to you. It will aid you in your most desperate times. Nagato tossed an object to Naruto, who caught it. It was a ring, a blend of purple and gray, inscribed with the kanji for Baik. Naruto glanced down at the ring on his right ring finger. Don't worry, Nagato. The will of US3 will be pushed through. Naruto. He turned to see the person speaking to him and smiled. Nagato's last jutsu had corrected his past mistakes, bringing back all the fallen ninjas, but it had cost him his life. Yet, Nagato was certain it was the right choice, knowing that the wills of both himself and Naruto had merged. He understood that the spirits of Jiraiya and Nagato would live on through Naruto's actions, forever. The person moved closer to Naruto, and he embraced her, planting a gentle kiss on her blonde head. He felt that his love for her would endure, no matter what challenges lay ahead. As they stood together, a soft breeze swept by, carrying two leaves that danced together in the air, savoring the tranquility of the moment and the love they held within them, until the very end.